West here reporting from Houston, Texas for Climate Desk. Now, one of the biggest uncertainties in climate science right now is the role of clouds. What better way to work that part out than flying right through them? That's what NASA scientists aboard this airplane think. Welcome to NASA's biggest airborne laboratory. You're coming with us today on an 8-hour NASA flight mission.
When you read these big IPCC climate assessments, what's the biggest uncertainty? There's two, right? The role of aerosols and clouds. Clouds is probably bigger than aerosols.
That is a piece of a puzzle that right now we are missing.
You can't get the models right if you don't understand the chemistry and the process.
Now we're being told we've got to get on. The doors are about to shut, so let's go aboard. Every time you turn on the weather, every time you hear a climate change prediction, that information has to come from somewhere. And it starts by getting sucked out of the air from planes like this.
So this mission is to particularly try to understand the emissions from the surface, so mostly biogenic emissions, so from trees and other plants.
Right now we're flying to our very first part of this experiment on the DC-8. Over Arkansas, there's a particularly pungent bouquet of emissions that scientists are interested in measuring.
Well, these emissions lead to both aerosols and to molecules that both destroy and create ozone. So these are very important things to understand for climate studies.
How it will manifest itself, it will be in more accurate and more reliable predictions.
So what we're doing is taking a series of flyovers, each at a different level of the atmosphere, scooping up those emissions, testing them, and hopefully scientists are going to see exactly what's in this column of air all the way up.
The data that we collect in one flight can keep busy 60 scientists and students for 3 years, 4 years. We are still studying data from data collected 20 years ago.
In fact, this particular mission today is its most heavily equipped in its nearly 30 years of service. Each one of these consoles here is a specially equipped scientific instrument designed to collect all sorts of different data in real time.
And this instrument here tracks the sun.
We're looking at mist chambers. They're used to strip soluble gases.
This black line is the CO2. It's about 390 ppm right now.
We're putting these filters in the bags that we've got the aerosols that we trapped out of a certain amount of air. And so we're sampling up here about 150 liters a minute.
That ultimately flows back into the operational models. It flows back into what goes on TV every day.
Anyway, I got to get this sample going.
You do it. It's a busy man at work. We can't let him rest. Well, get this. We've just spent 2 hours crisscrossing this one cloud formation. In, back out again, back in again.
Then they grow, and we track them as long as we can, and then we let it go.
Even one cloud can hold a host of answers to the mysteries of climate change.
The patterns of, where the clouds are, what type of clouds we see, what kind of weather systems they're associated with it, that'll all be shifting in a shifting climate, in a world with climate change.
Then the big spark is this, is when we actually get the meat on the grill. And then it will be some time to process it.
And a good Wednesday morning, everybody. Great to see you this morning, Wednesday, July 16. Here we go with another Bill Press show where we will tell you what's happening around the globe here in the United States, coast to coast, and right here in our nation's capital. We are booming out to you from our nation's capital and our studio on Capitol Hill. On Free Speech TV, if you got a satellite dish, you know where to find us, DirecTV, and on the Dish Network. And we're booming out to you worldwide on our video stream at TawkrTV, youtube.com/Tawker, TAWKR, TawkrTV. On this Wednesday morning, we celebrate the fact that the House of Representatives finally got something done yesterday. President Obama has been pounding them to do something about the Highway Trust Fund. Yesterday, the House voted overwhelmingly to renew and refund the Highway Trust Fund, but only for a few months. Still, that is going to help get 700,000 new jobs, construction jobs, going this summer, which is a great thing. On the political front, news about two big candidates. Elizabeth Warren, senator from Massachusetts, one of the most liberal members of the United States Senate for sure, has been out on the campaign trail in Kentucky, Red State, Kentucky, for Allison Grimes, in Red State, West Virginia, for Natalie Tennant, and in both states she has been receiving a rock star reception, raising questions about what she'll may do in 2016. And New Jersey Governor Chris Christie, after 6 months out to deal with the big bridge scandal and other problems, is back on the campaign trail this week, going to Iowa and to New Hampshire. He certainly is thinking about 2016. All that and more coming up on this Wednesday edition of the Bill Press Show. Look forward to hearing from you at our toll-free number at 866-55-PRESS.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Run these canyons for 6 million years. I have traveled from the Rocky Mountains to the deserts, through scorching heat and freezing cold. From the land of the dinosaurs to fields of food.
I lend my hand to 7 states, 2 countries, 9 national parks,
and 36 million people across an arid West.
I am not the strongest or the largest, but I am the hardest working.
People love me.
My playfulness.
My beauty. But I don't think I can offer any more.
I am tired.
I am tired,
tapped,
and tied. Of the hundreds of major rivers in the world, I am one of the few who no longer kisses the sea.
Battles to harness my soul have been won and lost. Use me wisely, and I will sustain you.
Use me like you have, and I will break. My name
is
Red. The Grand River Red. The American Nile.
The Canyon Maker. I am the Colorado River.
And I am the most endangered river in America.
Broadcasting around the nation, on your radio, on your TV, and online. This is the Bill Press Show.
All right, so the American League wins the All-Star game. The World Cup was still better, more fun to watch. Good morning, everybody. What do you say? It is a Wednesday, July 16. How about it? Great to see you this Wednesday morning. Hope the day's starting off pretty well wherever you happen to be on this planet, and particularly here in the United States of America as we kick off the Wednesday edition of the Bill Press Show from Washington, D.C., our nation's capital, most powerful city on the planet. We've got it covered. We'll also tell you what's going on all around the country and around the globe, bring you up to date on all the news, wherever it's happening, and of course, give you a chance to talk about it. Because, you want to start off the day with expressing your opinions by phone at 866-55-PRESS or on our social media, on Twitter at BP Show, and on Facebook at facebook.com/Bill Press Show. Again, we are here in Washington, D.C. with the entire team. In fact, I don't want to say that too lightly. This is the first day we've had everybody here, the A-team, in a couple of weeks.
It's been a long time.
It's been a long time. Peter Ogburn is back from the West Coast. Hello, Peter.
Hey.
Nice to have you back.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
Elisa Murphy remains on the scene here.
Hey, good morning.
But she had a couple of days off last week. And then Alicia Cruz is back to handle the phones. She had last week off. She's back. And Cyprian Balding, whom we never thought we would see again.
Back from the dead.
He's back from the dead. There he is. He's back from the dead. So hail, the gang's all here.
Yeah.
It's
wild.
All right. When are we going to take another couple of days off? I feel like
no. God, is it?
Now it's my turn.
Yeah, right.
Boom, 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 boom. Yeah, I mean, come on. All right. Well, I got a few.
You forgot to mention you were out a couple of those days, too.
I got a few plans. So a couple of things while you were gone, Peter.
Okay.
I remember your last day here, Friday, we talked about the fact that LeBron James, there was no way he was going to leave Miami.
That's right.
This was all. It was just a feint, a fake.
I believe I said there's no way he goes back to Cleveland.
Yeah,
I believe those were my exact words.
I just want to know what you thought about that.
It's huge.
Yeah,
it's a huge deal.
You were surprised as I was.
I'm stunned.
Was. Yeah.
I'm genuinely stunned.
Remember,
and good for
what's
him.
His name?
Travis.
Travis Waldron was in.
He also said there's no way LeBron goes to Cleveland.
Yep.
I thought it was a very mature way to do it, the way that he did compared to how he left Cleveland and went to Miami. I thought it was a huge deal. And Cleveland, they've been one of the worst teams of basketball since he left, and they look
right.
They're building a very, very, very good team.
They're very happy, people of Cleveland, and have said, "Who needs a Republican convention? We've got LeBron." Right.
Exactly.
And then the other, of course, the other big sports, that World Cup. Did you get a chance to see it?
I did.
Sunday?
I did watch it on Sunday.
Germany. Phenomenal. But I missed the Argentinians played a damn good game.
I thought it was going to go to penalty kicks. And I thought that if it was going to go to penalty kicks, it was going to favor Argentina.
Although Germany has never lost on penalty kicks.
I understand. Just at that point I figured Germany is such a good team.
But what a great team. What a great game.
Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah. No, it really was.
That was the definite for people who say that a 0-0 game is boring, right? Watch that game. Watch that game because that was such an exciting game, and nobody scored until the very, very end of overtime.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Yeah. No, it was great to watch. It was great fun, and you really see what soccer is all about when you see it at that.
Yes.
Yeah, at that level. So, so anyhow, lots going on while you were gone.
I know.
You picked a very very busy time. The Pope, in fact, has made a. Every time you turn around, Pope Francis is saying something stunning. As Conan O'Brien last night pointed out, the Pope has even now hinted that he might be open to priests marrying. After all, he did point out that for the first 1,000 years, priests in the Catholic Church were allowed to marry, and that in the Eastern Catholic Church, the Orthodox Church, priests are allowed to marry even today. And Conan said this raises some possibilities here.
In a new interview, Pope Francis suggested that the Catholic Church may allow priests to marry.
Imagine.
May allow priests to marry.
Yep.
That's huge. Yes. Yeah, he said if there's one thing that helps people stay celibate, it's being married.
That's pretty good.
Oh, yes.
That's pretty good.
Hits home.
Yeah.
Here we go. 11 minutes after the hour now. We got a lot coming up. Congressman Joe Garcia is going to join us from Florida's 26th Congressional District. Chris Kofinis, Democratic strategist, will be in studio with us as a good friend. And then, very excited, the mayor for life,
I'm
we
so
call
excited.
him. Yes.
Dude.
Mayor Marion Barry. He is still 2 terms as mayor of Washington. He is still on the city council. He has a new book out called Mayor for Life. That's what we all call him. And he will be here in studio. Can't wait to get the latest from Mayor for Life. Yes, indeed. And Elizabeth Warren hitting the campaign trail, and she is red hot. What does that say about 2016? But first,
this is the Full Court Press.
Just a couple of other stories making news. Bad news for a couple of people looking to enter the job market. CareerCast website that looks at trends in the job market. Hey, you get your martini all set up over there?
Iced tea martini. Sorry about that.
CareerCast took a look at the most endangered jobs in 2014.
Ooh.
Jobs that might not be around for much longer.
Talk show host?
Sad to report, talk show host not on the list. Mail carriers on the list. Farmers on the list. And lumberjacks on the list. For mail carriers, they talk about decrease in mail delivery.
But, I mean,
for farmers, they say that technology has allowed more robots to farm and things like that.
For a long time, but you're still going to need farmers.
You're absolutely going to need farmers. The other very interesting job on this list, newspaper reporter.
Ooh, yeah.
Also on the endangered species list for jobs. Again, that comes from CareerCast.
All right,
Yeah.
well, I can see that, too, because more newspapers shutting down.
Yep. Whosoever holds this hammer, if he be worthy, shall possess the power of Thor. That is the inscription on Thor's hammer from the comic books that has been around for a very long time. Well, that is about to change because Marvel Comics announced that Thor will now be a woman.
What?
Thor has always been a man.
Yeah, of course.
But it's the whole idea here is that the person who holds the hammer wields the power of the god Thor. It's not actually Thor, but just carries the power.
Okay.
So they're getting rid of the hunky man and putting in a woman.
Very cool.
Sign of the time.
I'm all for it. I'm a comic book nerd. I love Thor. I'm all for it. Why not?
I'm not sure that Clarence Thomas and Incident Scalia would approve of this.
That's right.
No.
That's
rule
right.
against it.
And we talked about mail carriers. Speaking of which, the U.S. Postal Service will continue their Saturday deliveries, but Netflix will not. Netflix, you can either stream their content or you can get DVDs, and they send DVDs to your house. They are no longer going to be doing Saturday deliveries. They're not counting Saturday as a delivery day. So if you order something on a Friday and you expect it to go in the mail on Saturday so that you have on Monday or Tuesday, that's not going to be the case anymore. They're shutting it out all together, according to Netflix.
Probably because more and more people are downloading.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We're streaming their stuff. Yeah.
Right. All right.
Exactly.
Thank you, Peter. Yes, indeed. Big political news today on several fronts, one of which is more and more stories this week about Elizabeth Warren and what she might be up to. And, you know, this is in the context of the supposed coronation of Hillary Rodham Clinton for 2016. A lot of people are saying it's hers. All she needs to do is say, yes, in fact, I'm running, as if there's any doubt. And, everybody else just get out of the way, let Hillary have it. After all, she's the most experienced. She's the best known. She's the best candidate. She'd be the first woman president. So let's not even have a primary next time in 2016. Let's just crown Hillary now. And the Republicans don't have anybody who could even get close to her. Just forget about any contest in 2016. To which I say, not so fast, okay? And I say this as a Hillary fan. As someone, as I've admitted to all of you, who supported Hillary Clinton in 2008 over Barack Obama. But the biggest mistake I think Democrats could make would be to let her have the nomination unchallenged for a couple of reasons. One, because we saw how the last time around she proved not to be the strongest candidate. Not sure she would have beat John McCain. And the other thing is, Hillary is I say this as a progressive and as a liberal, Hillary is a very centrist candidate and is not necessarily going to talk about or fight for all the issues that we think are really important, particularly the issue of income inequality. So that's why it's always very interesting to see what's happening with Elizabeth Warren. With that background, Elizabeth Warren, maybe with Barbara Boxer and Bernie Sanders, the three of them are the most liberal members of the United States Senate, for sure. And so here is Elizabeth Warren, who campaigned on the issue of income inequality, who got elected on that. The first person, before Bill de Blasio, it was Elizabeth Warren in Massachusetts. And she has now taken that message on the road, she's doing it now, on behalf of Democratic candidates. She was down in Kentucky campaigning for Allison Grimes, Senate candidate. She was in West Virginia just over the weekend campaigning for Senate candidate Natalie Tennant. And what's significant about that, of course, is this isn't Massachusetts, right? This isn't California. This isn't New York. These are red states. And she has gone into those red states with a message of economic populism, with a message of fighting for the middle class, with a message of taking on Wall Street, with a message of income inequality being one of the most serious problems facing this country, and how government had to act to level the playing field. And she is that message is coming across, and she's being received like a rock star, even though she doesn't necessarily agree with those candidates running in red states, Democratic candidates, on all the issues, as she pointed out in West Virginia, talking about why she is there supporting Natalie Tennant and why Natalie Tennant would want Elizabeth Warren to come in and campaign for her. Here's Elizabeth Warren.
Natalie Tennant and I do not agree on every issue, but on the core issue, on the issue that is about our values, on the issue that define us as human beings, Natalie and I agree. Our job is to fight for the families of America. That is our job.
Our job to fight for the families of America, and Elizabeth Warren is going to continue to take that message on the road, and again, getting tremendous reception, all kinds of positive publicity, raising all kinds of money. And this in states where Allison Grimes and Natalie Tennant both have said, Barack Obama, President Obama, stay away. They would not want Obama to come in and campaign for them, but they have welcomed in Elizabeth Warren. And what does this say? That's what I'd love to hear from you about. I mean, I'm telling you, to me, it says there is a yearning, there is a hunger, there is a desire for a real populist candidate for president this time around. And it could be Bernie Sanders. Bernie has said if nobody else will do it, he's willing to do it. I'd love to see Bernie Sanders. We've talked about this. He would run as a Democrat, not as an independent. So he would not take votes away from any Democratic candidate, but he would be out there with all the messages we talk about saving Social Security, creating jobs, getting rid of those tax loopholes for the 1%, basically fighting for the 99%. And that would be the same agenda for Elizabeth Warren. And I think I just hope that one of them does decide to run. I think it's important for the party, for the country, that one of them run in the Democratic primary in 2016. And, maybe Elizabeth Warren has an edge up because she's a woman, because she's really very articulate. She's got tons of energy. She'd be a firecracker, man. I mean, absolutely. I think she'd do a great job. Will she run? Should she run? Elizabeth Warren. Let's talk about it. 866-55-PRESS. Maybe the question is, what can we do to persuade Elizabeth Warren
there you go.
that we need her to run, right? Run, go, Liz, go.
Get in.
Go
for it.
Get in. Maybe we can build up a little firestorm here this morning. 866-55-PRESS. Let's try it on a Wednesday morning.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Tune into Free Speech TV for Democracy Now!, a national, independent, award-winning news program bringing you people and perspectives rarely seen on corporate media.
Grunt work. Love it, hate it, useful, not useful.
Necessary.
Our social entrepreneurs are people who have been on the front lines of social change. I've learned so much from talking with them. This is Cafe Impact, and I'm Jonathan Lewis.
I will say that I think is a challenge for anyone, especially the new workforce as they come in, is the ability to accept grunt work with grace.
The most boring, awful details are the most important elements of doing this work. From the way you save names in your Rolodex to the way you bank and you deposit checks. The truth is, this work isn't glamorous, it's rewarding. You don't go into this for the glamour, you go into it for the impact. And so it takes that determination to do the scut work to actually get anywhere.
It can be really challenging in a first job for someone who's coming out of finishing school to have the enthusiasm that they do to make the type of social impact that they've dreamed of. And now they're here in this first job and all of a sudden they're shouldered with all this grunt work. And they don't understand and they don't get it and they're resentful.
Talk more about the power of answering phones.
Sure, I did that myself, took out the trash, cleaned offices when I had to, and it's all good. There's power in being a good team player and in being somebody who sometimes has to support other people's leadership before you get to have your own moment in the sun.
Is it hard to wait?
It is absolutely hard to wait, especially if you're an alpha female like I am.
I think grunt work can help a new employee build trust internally and teach them the nuances of how an organization is run so that they can have a real good sense of what HR is doing, what finance is doing, what all the other departments are, and that actually makes them a better employee in the long run.
So in my role on a daily basis, I literally can be looking at a new venture in software. We could be looking at a microfinance deal. I could be making coffee, taking out the trash, and riding a tractor on any given day.
Have you found people who thought it was demeaning that they were given this job, work in the front office and make the coffee when they graduated with all A's from this great university?
Yeah, people like that just don't last very long in our world. If your approach to life is that, you're so smart and you're such a fabulous entrepreneur that you can't understand why people aren't giving you opportunities, it's really hard to advance.
in to Gay USA with hosts Ann Northrup and Andy Hum for in-depth coverage of lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender news. Watch Gay USA every week, only on Free Speech TV.
This is the Bill Press Show.
At 26 minutes after the hour, Elizabeth Warren, she is the new on-demand candidate or helper for candidates around the country when they look about what national figure they want coming in to help them. They're not calling on President Obama. They're not calling on Hillary Clinton, even. She's out there still selling books, promoting herself, basically. It's Elizabeth Warren who's out there raising money for Democratic candidates she hasn't changed her message. She's true to form as to who she is and what she stands for, and taking that message into red states, helping Democratic candidates, and with huge success. Love it. So do we want Elizabeth Warren to run in 2016? Damn right. And I hope this is a sign that she intends to do so. Or at least is seriously thinking about it.
Yeah.
Go, Elizabeth, go. Donna out in Chicago on WCPT. Hello, Donna. Good morning.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello. I think Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders are great. However, I fear that if they were to run for the presidency, with the way things go in the press and the way a voter is educated, they don't educate themselves very well. It sounds all good, but what happened with Obama, I can only imagine what's going to happen with whatever circumstances that may be.
Well, wait a minute.
The South is different.
But
the
Donna...
South is very different.
Donna, pardon me, don't forget, you say whatever happened to Obama. He's president of the United States. And like Elizabeth Warren, back in 2006, 2007, people were saying, oh, that's a joke that a guy named Barack Obama, a first-time senator, would ever be able to run for president. He did. He defied the odds, and he won. Right?
Yes, and it's more effective, I think, Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders in the Senate making the laws and helping out whoever, if there's a strong candidate. We need more people like them in Congress, in the Senate, and that's not happening. That's what we don't have.
Okay, I hear it. I hear you, Don. I appreciate the call, but I have to tell you, that's exactly what people told Barack Obama in 2007. Oh, come on, you're too young. Oh, come on, you haven't been in the Senate long enough. Oh, come on, you have to stay in the Senate. Oh, come on, we need you in the Senate to help somebody, to help Hillary or something. And Barack Obama said, hell no, I'm going to run myself. That's what Elizabeth has to do, or Bernie's got to do, don't you think? More calls coming up.
Bill Press Show.
Don't look at me. Your hair's a bit frizzy today. Oh, you should pick that up. Oh, you're such a dork, loser. Here, let me help you with that. Oops.
Every day, kids witness bullying.
Oh, look, your crush is looking at you. Poor you.
They want to help, but don't know how.
See, no one here's gonna help you, because no one
Teach your
likes
kids how to be more than a bystander. Visit stopbullying.gov.
If you drive buzzed, it could cost you around $10,000. You'll face major legal fees, major fines, and steep insurance penalties. You could lose everything. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving.
When some people struggle with their mortgage payments, they become frozen, petrified. Not knowing what to do, they do nothing. But the people who take action are far more likely to get the most positive outcome. Making home affordable is a free government program. Call now to talk one-on-one with a housing expert about the options that are right for you. Real help, real answers, right now.
Tune into Free Speech TV for Democracy Now!, a national, independent, award-winning news program bringing you people and perspectives rarely seen on corporate media.
I probably would make a time machine. I would make medicine for the sick. I'd probably invent something new.
我会赢到5个总冠军戒指。
If I could have an extra 5 years to live. You said 5, right? 5 years. It's a long time.
I would try to fix everything I did bad.
I would bring my uncle back because I miss him very much. I would get more hamsters. I would probably want to go looking for dark matter. I think I'd go looking for aliens. If I could live an extra 5 years.
I was thinking about making like a helicopter, like a wooden helicopter, but I don't have any wood.
I want to go check out the moon sometime. I'd probably teach my sister not to hate tuna. I would try and invent a machine that lets you run at light speed. If I had 5 more extra years to live, I would be the boss of all the chipmunks. Eu cantaria na frente de 1 milhão de pessoas. I don't really know. I think I'd do anything. Why are you asking me that?
All right. I know this isn't any fun to talk about, but we should. Okay. So who's going to do what?
I'll pack the dead batteries.
Great.
I'll only put what I don't need into a duffel bag.
Perfect. That's totally unhelpful.
No problem.
Meanwhile, I will try to comfort everyone by speaking in a calm voice.
And I'll try to get the generator going without any gas.
Oh, let's not forget the cell phones, which probably won't work.
Right.
And who is going to handle supplies?
I can forget to do a list for us.
Thanks, pal.
Well, I think we couldn't be any less prepared. I'm proud of you guys.
Talk to your kids about who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Visit ready.gov/kids for tips and information.
All right, 34 minutes after the hour now on a Wednesday morning. This is the Recruit Elizabeth Warren campaign committee here. We're just saying, let's get going, Elizabeth. And in fact, the timing is right because as Huffington Post reported yesterday, a group launched a new effort. Ryan Grimm for the Huffington Post reports. It's a band of activists who launched a campaign called the Ready for Warren campaign. They already are up on Facebook. They have a Twitter account. They have a new website with a petition urging Elizabeth Warren to run. Ready for Warren. Are you ready for Warren? I am. I'm ready for Elizabeth Warren to run. I'm ready for Bernie Sanders to run. I'm ready for Hillary Clinton to run, but I don't want her to run and be the only one out there. We need somebody from the left who's going to take the populist message, the economic income inequality message, the fight for the middle class, fight for working family message out to the American people, and take that message in the Democratic primaries across this land. I hope it's Bernie Sanders. I hope it's Elizabeth Warren. I hope it's both of them. Ready for Warren. We've got some calls here from, let's go back to the calls. Wayne out in Chicago, Illinois. Hello, Wayne.
Hello, good morning to you.
Yeah, what do you think?
I think that at this particular point in our history, we're going to have to change. I'll give you an example. The Arctic is melting real fast. So all the countries are going up there claiming their piece of the pie to drill. Now, you got hurricane force winds up there, and they still want to drill for oil. So we need somebody that's going to come in with a totally different train of thought. We got to get off the fossil fuels. We got to get off the nuclear fuels. We have to stabilize our economy. We need to nationalize the Federal Reserve.
Well, the question is, Wayne, is Elizabeth Warren the one to do it, and do you think she should?
Yes, her and Bernie Sanders. I like Hillary Clinton, but she is too closely tied to Wall Street.
That's the rap.
This country not going to move for the better unless we get the money out of politics. And I'll let somebody else talk. Bill, thank you.
Yeah, okay, Wayne. I'm glad. I appreciate your call, but that is the rap on Hillary Clinton, and there's no doubt that she and her husband, Bill Clinton, former president, have raised tons of money from Wall Street. They are in New York, and they have close ties to Wall Street. Hillary had her big strategy session not so long ago in a downtown in a Wall Street bank. Conference room that she'd borrowed from a Wall Street bank. So you won't find Elizabeth Warren being invited to hold meetings at any of the Wall Street banks, nor Bernie Sanders.
Right, but I think that's, when you look at the popularity of the president and of Congress and of members of Congress, right? The fact that someone is embracing Elizabeth Warren, right? That a politician who's new on the scene would say, yes, come down. We want a Washington politician to come and speak for me. Says a lot about her jumping across out of the political realm, right? People just like her. She has a good message.
Yeah, and again, they're not inviting Barack Obama. They're not inviting Harry Reid, right? They're inviting Elizabeth Warren. There's a great appeal. And on the Wall Street thing, just a second, is nobody's saying we got to nationalize the banks or we have to shut down the banks or these people can't make a healthy salary and a healthy profit and all of that. It's just saying that when all of the money in this country is going to the top 1% and all the economic recovery, all the good news, right, is only going and being shared by the top 1%, and nothing is filtering down or nothing is being distributed or nothing being made available to the 99%, then there is something very, very, very wrong with this economy, and that's what Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders have been saying. Ellen in Quartzsite, Arizona. Hello, Ellen. Good morning.
Good morning to you.
Yeah, what do you think?
All right, my turn.
Yes.
I had not heard of Elizabeth Warren a few years back, but I went to visit my sister up on Cape Cod, who is a psychologist up there, so she's got good cred. Annie. Hi, Annie. And there was a sign, she had a sign up. So I started asking questions. Oh, she just adores her. She's the very best thing, and she's right there. And I can't say she doesn't personally know her. I never asked.
Yeah.
But she thinks she's the greatest, and we all know her qualifications. And honestly, I love Hillary Clinton. And what she does with Wall Street, keep your friends close and your enemies closer. Bill and the Bushes, pretty much the same way.
Right.
But Elizabeth Warren, she's young, she's vigorous. I think it would kill Hillary. I'm a few months older. You'd have to drag me kicking and screaming to the throne right now. I'm old. I don't want to do it. I know it's going to kill me. So that's how I feel. I'd like to see Elizabeth. But I'm going to throw one at you, and I've thought quite a bit about this. There is precedent. I think it would be funny if she would get Charlize Theron to run as her vice president.
You mean for Hillary or for Elizabeth?
For Elizabeth, she doesn't have sight recognition, and I don't know if she could even drum it up in time.
Yeah. Okay. Well, listen, I hear you, Ellen. And by the way, we had some good friends when I was up in Rhode Island. Some good friends from Massachusetts over as well, and they are huge Elizabeth Warren fans, and very proud of the fact she's their senator. And but again. That's Massachusetts. You expect that from Massachusetts. You expect it from New York or California. You don't expect it from West Virginia.
Right.
You don't expect it from Kentucky. And if she can take that, if Elizabeth Warren can take that message into not just blue states, but purple states and red states and help Democratic candidates win, she could do it herself. And I hope she does.
By the way, we've had a couple comments coming in since we started
Back
talking
to your
about
calls,
this.
too, in just a second.
Sure.
866-55-PRESS.
At BP Show is where you can find us on Twitter, at BP Show. Derek Fuller says, Hillary Clinton needs a primary because humans like a good fight. Warren is the number one contender, and Mark has an
If I could just comment on that.
Sure.
She needs a primary, too, because primaries help candidates. Primaries help them hone their skills, really get up to date on the issues, and have to force them to speak out on issues that they otherwise might not talk about. Primaries are good for the party and good for the candidate, good for the country.
And by the way, we haven't even talked about this idea. Mark from Chicago brings it up. He says maybe we should just bribe her into running. That would be Mark from Chicago who would bring up that idea.
Yeah. They tried the banks tried to bribe her early on, and that's when they learned that they can't bribe Elizabeth Warren. Carl is down in New Orleans, Virginia. Virginia, what am I saying? New Orleans, Louisiana. Hello, Carl.
Good morning, Bill. I watch you on Free Speech TV every morning.
Good for you. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to get straight to the point, Bill, on tenants and that other candidate. It's a shame that Barack Obama, who speaks the same message as Elizabeth Warren, is not welcome to go down there. They both speak the same lingo, and it's a shame that racism has to be involved. I mean, they pushed this man to the side, and he has the same message as Warren. I don't know. I just worry about certain Democrats having this thing about bringing Barack to red states. He speaks the same message, and it upsets me.
Yeah, I hear you, Carl. But I have to tell you, in this case, I don't think it's all racist, the fact that they don't want President Obama in. And look, I don't think that Barack Obama speaks the same message as Elizabeth Warren. I mean, I think in some case, look, he appointed Tim Geithner as his Treasury Secretary. He brought Larry Summers in as a head of his Economic Council. I mean, they're right out of Wall Street. And remember, he refused to appoint Elizabeth Warren as head of the new Consumer Protection Bureau.
That's right.
Now, I'm glad he did, because now she's a United States senator from Massachusetts. But and I'm you know me, if you've heard it, I'm a huge Barack Obama fan. I'm there at the White House every day. But he is not. He's not as far left as Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders are. He's just not.
Yeah.
He's right. We got time for one more here before we take a break, because it's Leonard calling from Milwaukee. Hey, Leonard, what do you say?
I say run, Warren, run. I'm saying this because as an African-American male, listening to her speech and remembering my grandmother, my grandfather, and how they talked and what they told us and the beliefs that they had in them, she carries that. I voted for Barack, and I still say that even though he's dealing with a whole bunch of problems, he is the best president for that time.
Absolutely.
But I truly believe that if America is going to move forward, we need Elizabeth Warren. And I would hope that Hillary Clinton would hear this and put her hat towards Elizabeth Warren, because I believe in myself that one day Chelsea's going to run, and I would love to see her become somebody.
Okay, all right. Hey, Leonard, that's a good way to wrap up. Yeah, absolutely. Again, there's that kind of support out there for Elizabeth Warren. She's really touching people, right? I think, and she's very appealing, very articulate. She's right on the issues. She's a real scrapper. She's a real fighter. I think people feel that's what we want. We've had too many politicians in there who just sort of, bend over for the top 1%, bend over for Wall Street. Elizabeth Warren is a real scrapper, real fighter. And so, again, Ready for Warren is the website. Check it out. And we give them a little help this morning. Go, Elizabeth, go.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Tune into Free Speech TV for Democracy Now!, a national, independent, award-winning news program bringing you people and perspectives rarely seen on corporate media.
I'm the retired bishop with the Episcopal Church as the bishop for all chaplains in federal service. I read that there was a group of people that represented a sense of injustice that I had. We'd lost Zuccotti. I mean, there was a kind of a hope that maybe Trinity Church would be gracious and give refuge. We picked this day where we would gather and demonstrate that Trinity was closing its ears to what was happening. We marched around the block, and I realized that, my goodness, they're carrying a ladder. And I thought, well, this is the moment. You could feel a spiritual presence. You could feel a certain something. And then the cops came in. It got brutal.
I'm with you right here. Robin, I'm here.
The church needed, in this moment in history, to stand alongside of these protesters. The truth of Christ is found in the pews, is found in the institutional church, but it is also found in the streets. It's found in the honesty and the integrity, the insistence of people that you find in Occupy Wall Street.
Tune in to Gay USA with hosts Ann Northrup and Andy Hum for in-depth coverage of lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender news. Watch Gay USA every week, only on Free Speech TV.
Seen on Free Speech TV and online on TawkrTV. This is the Bill Press Show.
Hey, in the next hour, we're going to get up to date on energy policy with Laura Barron Lopez from the Hill. And then talk immigration with Congressman Joe Garcia from Florida. A little bit later in the program, of course, Mayor for Life. Former Mayor Marion Barry, now member of the D.C. City Council here.
Former mayor. I mean, he's always.
I can't say that. Mayor. He's the mayor.
He's
mayor
always mayor. Yeah.
He is.
He'll be mayor till the day he dies.
Mayors come, mayors go, but Mayor Marion Barry, mayor for life.
Mayor for life.
Yeah, indeed. here in studio. Has a new book out called Mayor for Life. I don't know anybody who's had a bigger influence in Washington, D.C. over the years than Marion Barry. By the way, just before we move on, just one quick thing about Elizabeth Warren. That website I mentioned, which was launched, the whole movement launched yesterday, Ready for Warren. The website, several of you have asked, is readyforwarren.com.
Yep.
Okay, and go to it and provide a little help. Meanwhile, on the other side of the political spectrum, this just bugs the hell out of me. He will not shut up. He will not shut up. Talking about Dick Cheney. We know that he was asked when Mike Allen had a little, at lunch on Monday, Mike Allen from Politico had a little panel with Lynn Cheney, daughter Liz Cheney, and husband Dick Cheney. And Mike Allen said, what is it about the fact that President Bush never criticizes President Obama, but you are a nonstop critic?
The president made a decision that he wasn't going to criticize his successor. That's his call. It's a precedent that was set by his father. I'm not bound by those strictures. And some people don't like that, but...
Yeah. Which is really a slap at President Bush, by the way.
Right?
A real slap at President Bush.
That was my takeaway from that.
Yeah. And when you read Peter Baker's book, Days of Fire, you recognize what that's all about. I mean, at the end, Bush basically really dismissed Cheney, and he finally recognized that Cheney was a bad influence, had bad ideas, and had misled him and the nation into going into Iraq, among other things. I'm not excusing George Bush for the decision, but he realized that Cheney was bad news.
Bad news. Yeah.
Bad news, right. So Cheney basically said, I don't care what that little shrimp does. I'm going to continue. Yeah, I'm going to continue to talk. And so of course, he goes on CNN yesterday, and while he says the president, he does not agree that we ought to impeach President Obama, he still goes on to say,
I think he is the worst president of my lifetime. I fundamentally disagree with him. I think he's doing a lot of things wrong. I'm glad to see that the House Republicans are challenging him, at least legally at this point.
So said by the worst vice president of all time.
Yeah.
Seriously. Worst of all. Worse than Spiro Agnew. I mean, think about it. But the audacity, the gall of this guy, given the problems that we have today that we're still fighting with because of decisions made by Dick Cheney and George W. Bush, and for him to be out there and have that, again, the audacity to call Barack Obama the worst president of his lifetime. And he's an old fart, and he's seen a lot of presidents.
That's right. I give Jake Tapper some credit. He spent probably 10 straight questions trying to get Cheney to take some responsibility for Iraq, for the situation in Iraq and how bad it is. And Cheney just would not budge. He wouldn't budge. He just, nope, we did the right thing. He stands by it, and it was Barack Obama that turned it into a bad situation. That is amazing. Like, when you come out there and that's your tack, you should not be able to say anything else and be taken seriously.
Yeah. I mean, so if he had any self-respect, he would just go away and shut up.
Exactly.
Yeah, but he never will. I'm telling you, Dick Cheney. That's why we need Elizabeth Warren. Some hope. And we'll be right back here on The Bill Press Show.
This is The Bill Press Show.
This is my computer.
This is your computer. Let's go on the internet.
Let's go. Click it.
Yes.
Okay.
I cursor in between the R and the E. Pressing dot, I want you to just push the period.
She's gonna love me all over again.
That's it. Jamaica, here you go.
Here we go.
Good job.
Thank you. Thank you. And I did it by myself. Feel smarter.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
All right. I know this isn't any fun to talk about, but we should. Okay. So who's going to do what?
I'll pack the dead batteries.
Great.
I'll only put what I don't need into a duffel bag.
Perfect. That's totally unhelpful.
No problem.
Meanwhile, I will try to comfort everyone by speaking in a calm voice.
And I'll try to get the generator going without any gas.
Oh, let's not forget the cell phones, which probably won't work.
Right.
And who is going to handle supplies?
I can forget to do a list for us.
Thanks, pal.
Well, I think we couldn't be any less prepared. I'm proud of you guys.
Talk to your kids about who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Visit ready.gov/kids for tips and information.
Hey, thanks for stopping by. I followed your character since the first episode. I'm a big fan. Big fan. Thank you. And listen, your storyline, it makes for incredible TV drama. Thing is, your drug use is very adult content. Too adult for the kids. So I'm gonna have to block you. Oh, man. Yeah. Well, have a good one.
You're a nice lady.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Keystone Pipeline, remember that? What's the latest? We'll find out at the top of the next hour. Peter?
Timothy Draper is a Silicon Valley-based venture capitalist, and he has pushed the idea of splitting California into 6 different states.
Oh, God.
It's an idea he's been pushing, and the campaign has gathered roughly 800,000 signatures to be put on the ballot for people to vote on. His idea, he says, would make it smaller so it's easier for government to respond to the different little states there instead of one.
But think of all the extra stars we'd have to add to the American
flag. That's right.
The American flag. That's ridiculous. Plus, being a Californian, former Democratic state chair of California, this is insane.
Yeah.
Former top aide to the governor of California. No, come on. California is one great state. Leave it alone. This guy's wasting his time and money.
This is the Bill Press Show.
All right. I know this isn't any fun to talk about, but we should. Okay. So who's going to do what?
I'll pack the dead batteries.
Great.
I'll only put what I don't need into a duffel bag.
Perfect. That's totally unhelpful.
No problem.
Meanwhile, I will try to comfort everyone by speaking in a calm voice.
And I'll try to get the generator going without any gas.
Oh, let's not forget the cell phones, which probably won't work.
Right.
And who is going to handle supplies?
I can forget to do a list for us.
Thanks, pal.
Well, I think we couldn't be any less prepared. I'm proud of you guys.
Talk to your kids about who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Visit ready.gov/kids for tips and information.
And And a good Wednesday morning, everybody. Great to see you this morning, Wednesday, July 16. Here we go with another Bill Press show where we will tell you what's happening around the globe here in the United States, coast to coast, and right here in our nation's capital. We are booming out to you from our nation's capital and our studio on Capitol Hill. On Free Speech TV, if you got a satellite dish, you know where to find us, DirecTV, and on the Dish Network. And we're booming out to you worldwide on our video stream at TawkrTV, youtube.com/Tawker, TAWKR, TawkrTV. On this Wednesday morning, we celebrate the fact that the House of Representatives finally got something done yesterday. President Obama has been pounding them to do something about the Highway Trust Fund. Yesterday, the House voted overwhelmingly to renew and refund the Highway Trust Fund, but only for a few months. Still, that is going to help get 700,000 new jobs, construction jobs, going this summer, which is a great thing. On the political front, news about two big candidates. Elizabeth Warren, senator from Massachusetts, one of the most liberal members of the United States Senate for sure, has been out on the campaign trail in Kentucky, Red State, Kentucky, for Allison Grimes, in Red State, West Virginia, for Natalie Tennant, and in both states she has been receiving a rock star reception, raising questions about what she'll may do in 2016. And New Jersey Governor Chris Christie, after 6 months out to deal with the big bridge scandal and other problems, is back on the campaign trail this week, going to Iowa and to New Hampshire. He certainly is thinking about 2016. All that and more coming up on this Wednesday edition of the Bill Press Show. Look forward to hearing from you at our toll-free number at 866-55-PRESS.
This is the Bill Press Show.
I have run these canyons for 6 million years. I have traveled from the Rocky Mountains to the deserts, through scorching heat and freezing cold, from the land of the dinosaurs to fields of food.
I lend my hand to 7 states, 2 countries, 9 national parks,
and 36 million people across an arid West.
I am not the strongest or the largest, but I am the hardest working.
People love me.
My playfulness,
My beauty,
my power,
my life. But I don't think I can offer any more.
I am tired.
I am tired,
tapped,
and tied. Of the hundreds of major rivers in the world, I am one of the few who no longer kisses the sea.
Battles to harness my soul have been won and lost. Use me wisely, and I will sustain you.
Use me like you have, and I will break. My name is Red. The Grand River Red. The American Nile.
The Canyon Maker. I am the Colorado River.
And I am the most endangered river in America.
Broadcasting around the nation, on your radio, on your TV, and online. This is The Bill Press Show.
Chris Christie back on the road with his presidential campaign in Iowa and New Hampshire. I guess we'll cross that bridge when we come to it, huh? Good morning, everybody. What do you say? It is Wednesday, July 16, and this is the Bill Press Show. We are here in our nation's capital, on our studio on Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C., right in the heart of the action, to the extent that there's any action in Washington these days. Not much going on. I actually tuned into C-SPAN day before yesterday just to see what was happening on the House floor, and yes, there they were, lined up to name post offices. And members of the House were taking their turns. Talking about why it was important. This person was such a great person. Why it's so important to name that post office after so-and-so and so-and-so. This is probably the third time they've renamed these post offices. They've run out. They've run out of names and run out of post offices. But that's what really. Seriously, I just couldn't believe it. That's what counts for hard work. That's what we're paying these legislators to do these days. Oh my God. Good to see you this morning. Thanks for joining us. We have a lot more serious things to talk about here, a lot more important things on the Bill Press Show this Wednesday morning. Coming at you on your local progressive talk radio station. So good to be your morning talk show, morning progressive talk show. And then also, if you're not lucky enough to have a progressive radio station where you live, you can find us on the radio on the TuneIn app. Just download it. It's free. TuneIn. And you'll find us there on the Progressive Voices Network. And on TV, on Free Speech TV. Absolutely. You got a satellite dish, find us on DirecTV. Worldwide on our video stream, youtube.com/TawkrTV. So we're coming at you one way or another with the whole team here. Peter Barron is back here with Elisa Murphy. Good morning, guys.
Hey.
Hey, good morning. Good to have Peter back.
You love that San Diego air down there, huh?
San Diego's fantastic.
Isn't it a great place?
Oh, my God.
Beautiful place.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. I'm still on West Coast time, so I'm a little punchy. But, boy, San Diego, I mean, it lives up to the hype. When they talk about the greatest weather in the country, it's amazing.
Yeah, I've lived all over California, right? San Francisco, Sacramento, Los Angeles, Marin County. Never lived in San Diego because I knew if I went to San Diego, man, I would just drop out. It is so
you know what?
Drop dead gorgeous. You
could totally just go bamboo, man. You could just completely fall off.
To me, the idea of working and living in San Diego are incompatible.
Exactly.
Yeah,
that's about right.
I love it.
And what's amazing is you can go in December and it's the exact same weather.
Total.
That's incredible.
Yeah. Alicia Cruz is here too. She's back from vacation. She's on the phones, and Cyprian Balding, even bigger news, is back. Our videographer, keeping us looking good on the video stream worldwide and on Free Speech TV. And we're joined in studio on some very important issues, energy issues, by Laura Barron Lopez from The Hill. Nice to have you back, Laura. Nice
Thanks
to
for
see
having
you.
me.
Thank you. Well, we talked last hour about Elizabeth Warren and signs that she's stepped up her political activity and out there all around the country on behalf of Democratic candidates. Meanwhile, Hillary Clinton is still selling her book and still promoting herself without making any announcement about 2016. But last night, she was on The Daily Show with Jon Stewart, and she dropped just a little hint that maybe the Oval Office is what she is thinking a lot about.
Would you like that office? Would you like to have corners, or would you like it not to have corners? I don't know.
I think that the world is so complicated. The fewer corners that you can.
Yeah. I want an office with no corners.
What kind of office has no corners?
It's a funny line. That's funny.
That's good.
But now everybody's saying that, oh my God, was that it? Was that the announcement? Right?
Lord.
All right, we'll find out. With this energy policy here at the top of the hour, Congressman Joe Garcia from Florida will join us to talk immigration at the half. And in the next hour, Democratic strategist Chris Kofinis and the mayor for life of Washington, D.C., Marion Barry, in studio with us. But first,
this is the Full Court Press.
Just a couple of other stories making news last night was the Major League Baseball All-Star Game, which saw the American League beat the National League 5-3. Mike Trout from the Angels was named MVP, which means he got a Corvette. By the way, that's what a professional baseball player needs, right? A free car.
Yeah, right.
Mike Trout, like I said, one most valuable player. Notably, it was Derek Jeter's final All-Star game. He's retiring after this season. So it was Deadspin actually put together 100 times that the announcers mentioned Derek Jeter's name.
Oh, is that right? Yeah.
Literally 100 times. It was in Minneapolis at Target Field.
You know what it is? What they will do anything to try to get people to watch the All-Star game.
It's true.
Yeah,
it's true.
Which is basically, I think, a non-event. I don't know why they still have it.
Well, I like the All-Star game. I like that it's there. But and then of course what this means is the American League team that goes to the World Series will have home field advantage over the National League, which is a big deal. But the only Nationals player who played last night was Tyler Clippard. He came in and pitched like half an inning.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Our Washington Nats?
Our Washington Nationals, yes indeed. If you're traveling from Orlando and you have a Washington, D.C. airport, be careful. That is what a reporter here in Washington, D.C. found out for Channel 9. Justin Gray was flying out of Orlando with a Washington, D.C. license, and the guy said this is not a proper form of identification. It has to be from one of the 50 states.
Oh, no.
No way.
Get out of here.
And so he was hassled for a while until finally he said, District of Columbia is
hello,
the capital of the United States. Turns out someone had to show up, explain to the screener, yes, Washington, D.C. is part of the United States.
Oh, no.
You're going to have to let him through, but just be careful. Just be careful.
No, be careful. Fire that guy.
Well, yeah, fire that guy, but be ready for some obnoxious stuff if you're flying through there with a D.C. license.
Can't get that.
Apparently not. Bill, do you have a selfie stick?
No.
See, I know how much you love selfies.
Right, yes.
I know how much you love selfies. Well, this is the new trend. BuzzFeed reported on this yesterday. The selfie stick, apparently people can't keep them in stock. It's like a telescoping
I see.
pole that you attach your phone to that extends away from your face.
Oh,
so you can take like a full body
I got it.
selfie
so you can
and capture exactly. So you can hold out this stick, which will put it out like 6 feet in front of you. And you can and you push a little button that clamps down on the little picture taking button. You take a picture of yourself. It's like $35 on Amazon.
$35?
Yeah.
Whoa.
On Amazon. They have them for iPhones. They have them for GoPros.
The magic wand of the 21st century.
It's not a bad idea because I've tried to take photos, and your arm is only so long, right?
Is it collapsible? Like, can you put it in your pocket?
It is collapsible. I don't know if it gets so small as to go to your pocket, but it collapses down to like the size of a small umbrella, right? And then you telescope it out.
You keep one in your briefcase.
I'm a little concerned at your approval of this. This is not something I expected you to go for.
I'm just thinking that has possible, but no.
But imagine you're somewhere with a bunch of people and someone pulls out like a golf club.
Well, and will they make it like an antenna where you can actually like push a button and it'll extend out of your phone, you know?
My
That'll be the next move.
No. Gadget selfie stick.
I want to go into the 21st century here with my selfie stick. I think. All right. Oh, hey, Laura, on a much more important front. So, Rupert Murdoch, we all follow Rupert Murdoch, right? Because he owns everything, right?
Exactly.
And he is the latest climate denier. An interview, I mean, you cover energy issues for The Hill. In an interview this week with one of his own publications, he said basically the media is paying too much attention to climate change, right?
Yes, and he said that all of the news that's being devoted to it is alarmist, that Obama's claims are alarmist. He said that it's just the natural course that the planet has to go on, and that...
What does he know? Nothing.
And that basically the biggest, he said, yes, sea levels will rise, and so that means the Maldives Islands will, of course, fall into the ocean. But, it's more than that. Miami is having climate change problems with the sea level rise, and they're about to spend probably $1.5 billion on trying to push back the water because it's starting to seep in more into their sewage systems as well. And Rhode Island is dealing with coastal erosion. That's why their Senator Sheldon Whitehouse is a big climate change policy advocate.
Yeah. Not to mention Virginia Beach, the Jersey Shore, Lower Manhattan. I mean, you can go on and Chesapeake Bay. I mean, there are islands right now disappearing in the Chesapeake Bay. So on and on. But do you think Murdoch's comments, so does that mean he's put out an edict for Fox News and the Wall Street Journal and everything else that he owns that don't take climate change seriously?
I'm not sure if that's what it is, but I know that Fox and other news channels are still probably going to continue to have the climate change skeptics, which is what the phrase is that we use in the press anyways, on the talk shows to try and create a balance against... if that's what you want to call it, against climate scientists. But
meanwhile, the BBC a couple of weeks ago said they're not going to play that game anymore, right?
That's right. They did tell their staff that they didn't have to talk to climate deniers or climate skeptics for certain stories if it wasn't necessary. It's something that they told them that they didn't feel that needed to be put out there more than it already was.
Now, today on that same subject, the president is meeting this afternoon with his
Climate Change Task Force.
Climate Change Task Force on Preparedness and Resilience.
That's correct.
Expect any announcement or any new action on climate change?
Yes, actually, that task force is a group of mayors, governors, and tribal leaders from across the U.S. There's 4 Republicans in that task force, and so Obama's going to be announcing a slew of actions across certain agencies that will help communities and tribal leaders become more take actions that'll help them become more resilient to climate change. So he's having the Interior Department and the EPA create an interagency partnership that will then help tribal leaders, provide them with the information and the data that they need on the different climate changes in the atmosphere that will then help them become more resilient to the impacts. There's also going to be, he's having an agricultural department help fund states projects that will then build up their electric system. So to make the electric grid more resilient to different natural disasters.
Right. But these are not the big steps that we need to take as a nation. I mean,
they're the incremental steps. They're the incremental steps that he wants to get done, in the time that he has left. So, of course, adding on to the big step of the carbon pollution standards that he set on at the beginning of June.
And that have been put forward by EPA.
That's
right?
correct.
Now, the latest were the new regulations from EPA on existing power plants.
Power plants.
Right.
And they proposed ones for new power plants earlier this year.
Right. Okay. But the more recent ones for existing power plants. And where are they and how soon before they take effect?
So right now they're in the comment period stage, and they set up a 120-day comment period for that. So when that wraps up, then the EPA is hoping to finalize the rules by summer of 2015, so June of next year. Right now, though, they are getting a bunch of pushback from Republicans in Congress. they've attached a number of environmental riders to appropriations bills for the Interior Department or for the EPA, trying to push back against these rules and essentially derail them.
But Congress, I mean, these rules have been upheld, right, by the Supreme Court.
Well, yes, the Supreme Court ruled that EPA has the authority to regulate carbon pollution, to regulate greenhouse gases. So that's why the EPA, McCarthy, who's the chief of the EPA, is very confident that these are legally sound, and she's really pushing back against them. This regulation has kind of become her baby in a way, and she's protecting it that way. Anything that attacks the rules, she's firing back against immediately. The EPA is doing that. They're, in this really strong engagement period with states across and electric, companies across the U.S.
Well, at least they're doing what they can with Congress refusing to act. Laura Barron Lopez with us here from The Hill talking energy policy. And how about Keystone Pipeline? We'll get to that hot potato when we come back here on the Bill Press Show. Your questions, your comments, 866-55-PRESS. Give us a call. We'll be right back.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Tune into Free Speech TV for Democracy Now!, a national, independent, award-winning news program bringing you people and perspectives rarely seen on corporate media.
Grunt work. Love it, hate it, useful, not useful.
Necessary.
Our social entrepreneurs are people who have been on the front lines of social change. I've learned so much from talking with them. This is Cafe Impact, and I'm Jonathan Lewis.
I will say that I think is a challenge for anyone, especially the new workforce as they come in, is the ability to accept grunt work with grace.
The most boring, awful details are the most important elements of doing this work. From the way you save names in your Rolodex to the way you bank and you deposit checks. The truth is, this work isn't glamorous, it's rewarding. You don't go into this for the glamour, you go into it for the impact. And so it takes that determination to do the scut work to actually get anywhere.
It can be really challenging in a first job for someone who's coming out of finishing school to have the enthusiasm that they do to make the type of social impact that they've dreamed of. And now they're here in this first job and all of a sudden they're shouldered with all this grunt work. And they don't understand and they don't get it and they're resentful.
Talk more about the power of answering phones.
Sure, I did that myself, took out the trash, cleaned offices when I had to, and it's all good. There's power in being a good team player and in being somebody who sometimes has to support other people's leadership before you get to have your own moment in the sun.
Is it hard to wait?
It is absolutely hard to wait, especially if you're an alpha female like I am.
I think grunt work can help a new employee build trust internally and teach them the nuances of how an organization is run so that they can have a real good sense of what HR is doing, what finance is doing, what all the other departments are, and that actually makes them a better employee in the long run.
So in my role on a daily basis, I literally can be looking at a new venture in software. We could be looking at a microfinance deal. I could be making coffee, taking out the trash, and riding a tractor on any given day.
Have you found people who thought it was demeaning that they were given this job, work in the front office and make the coffee when they graduated with all A's from this great university?
And, people like that just don't last very long in our world. If your approach to life is that, you're so smart and you're such a fabulous entrepreneur that you can't understand why people aren't giving you opportunities, it's really hard to advance.
Tune in to Gay USA with hosts Ann Northrup and Andy Hum for in-depth coverage of lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender news. Watch Gay USA every week, only on Free Speech TV.
This is the Bill Press Show.
All right, at 25 minutes after the hour, we're talking energy policy with Laura Barron Lopez here. Congressman Joe Garcia from Florida joins us in the next segment to talk immigration policy. Laura, I have my sister-in-law, Phoebe McCosker, living up in Vermont, is very into the Keystone Pipeline issue. Was out with a group the other day, meeting on some maybe protest if the Keystone Pipeline is approved. Certainly there will be a protest all around the country. And she called and asked me, and I'm asking you, what is the latest? Where are we with the State Department review? And big question, is the president bound to follow whatever John Kerry recommends?
He doesn't have to follow what John Kerry recommends, but the likelihood of him straying from Kerry's recommendation would be very slim. So right now, the State Department still has its freeze on the interagency review, and they put that freeze on, I want to say, in about May. I know it was like maybe 2 months ago or so. And the reason is because they wanted to give the agencies who were supposed to weigh in on whether or not the pipeline was in the public's best interest, they wanted to give them time to figure out what was going on in Nebraska. So the litigation over the pipeline's route. Mm-hmm. And right now, last week, Nebraska Supreme Court just said that they aren't going to hear the case until October. So that puts...
Whoa. We're going to be...
That puts the likelihood of then them ruling on the case until about September, November. So that's after the midterm elections. Obama probably won't say anything about the pipeline again.
So we may not have anything from the State Department until 2015, right?
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, and then the president will take time after that to make his
review
final
everything.
Decision. So basically, everything is on hold.
It's on hold, and so that's why, Representative.
And quickly, we only have about 30 seconds, but you've written about the fact that cyber attacks, really, the energy industry is really subject to those.
That's right. So cyber attacks are becoming more frequent. The oil and gas companies are saying that they're not as prepared as they should be for it. They know that it's important, but they aren't taking the measures. About 40% of the attacks that are reported to Homeland Security are on the energy sector.
Whoa, this is like refineries?
Pipelines, utilities, so the electric grid.
Yeah. Yeah, boy, I hope somebody's working on
the companies are working on it.
No,
developing guidelines because they're very concerned about it.
Yeah, we had the lights go out in the studio here last year. I can tell you what happens panic. Hey, Laura, great to see you. Thanks so much for coming in.
Thanks
it's thehill.com.
Bill Press Show.
Don't look at me. Your hair's a bit frizzy today. Aww, you should pick that up. Oh, you're such a dork. Loser. Here, let me help you with that. Oops.
Every day, kids witness bullying.
Oh, look. Your crush is looking at you. Poor you.
They want to help, but don't know how.
See, no one here's gonna help you, because no one
Teach your
likes
kids how to be more than a bystander. Visit stopbullying.gov.
If you drive buzzed, it could cost you around $10,000. You'll face major legal fees, major fines, and steep insurance penalties. you could lose everything. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving.
When some people struggle with their mortgage payments, they become frozen, petrified. Not knowing what to do, they do nothing. But the people who take action are far more likely to get the most positive outcome. Making home affordable is a free government program. Call now to talk one-on-one with a housing expert about the options that are right for you. Real help, real answers, right now.
Tune into Free Speech TV for Democracy Now!, a national, independent, award-winning news program bringing you people and perspectives rarely seen on corporate media.
I probably would make a time machine. I would make medicine for the sick. I'd probably invent something new. If I could have an extra 5 years to live. You said 5, right? 5 years. It's a long time.
I would try to fix everything I did bad.
I would bring my uncle back because I miss him very much. I would get more hamsters. I would probably want to go looking for dark matter. I think I'd go looking for aliens. If I could live an extra 5 years. I was thinking about making like a helicopter, like a wooden helicopter, but I don't have any wood. I want to go check out the moon sometime. I'd probably teach my sister not to hate tuna. I would try and invent a machine that lets you run at light speed. If I had 5 more extra years to live, I would be the boss of all the chipmunks. Eu cantaria na frente de 1 milhão de pessoas. I don't really know. I think I'd do anything. Why are you asking me that?
Seen on Free Speech TV and online on TawkrTV. This is the Bill Press Show.
33 minutes after the hour now here on a beautiful Wednesday morning in our nation's capital, Washington, D.C. It's the Bill Press Show. We're coming to you live from Capitol Hill, our studio in Capitol Hill, and we're brought to you today by AFSCME. You know the good men and women of AFSCME, the largest public employee and healthcare workers union in the entire country under President Lee Saunders, making America happen, and you can find out more about their good work from their website, AFSCME, AFSCME.org. Immigration is the big issue of the day. President Obama meeting with the Hispanic Caucus of Congress this afternoon to talk about immigration policy. A member of that caucus, Congressman Joe Garcia from Florida, joins us in studio at this moment. Congressman, welcome. Nice to see you.
It's a pleasure to be with you.
I want everybody, all of our viewers and listeners, to know what I just learned, that you represent the southernmost congressional district in the country.
That's exactly right. I represent Key West and the suburbs of Miami. So come on down and enjoy it. We're having a great year. We've had a great tourist season, and it's a beautiful country.
Do you have any part of Cuba as part of your district?
Well, what I do as the southernmost congressman is I ascribe to me the rest of Central America, the Caribbean and Latin America. When I first got here, they asked me if I wanted to be on Foreign Affairs. I said, listen, I live in Miami. I live in a foreign country, so don't worry about it. I've got a president from some Latin American country in town every weekend, so I don't need Foreign Affairs. So I took other committees where I could be more of use, and one of those committees is the Judiciary Committee, which is handling immigration.
Which is handling immigration, but it is
handling it whichever the case
to the extent, right? So there's so many questions about this humanitarian crisis that we face on the border today. But you are going to be meeting with the president and the vice president this afternoon, you and other members of the Latino caucus. What's your message to the president? What are you going to tell him that he ought to be doing?
Well, I think that the caucus has been clear for a very long time, and we're going to let our leadership and Luis Gutierrez sort of lay out the case and what we believe. But there's no doubt that the president has to step in and fix this. Clearly, Mr. Boehner has abdicated his responsibility. We've tried. We've got 200 Democrats on the bill already, H.R. 15, which is the bill I'm the author of, which basically takes McCall, the McCall Homeland Security Bill, which passed unanimously out of committee. By the way, that was over a year ago. They haven't done a thing with it, just passed it out. And now they're complaining about border security, but we passed out a bill. They wouldn't take it up because McCall was scared that we'd attach immigration to it in the Senate. And then it takes the Senate bill, minus Corker-Hoven, which was a crazy expenditure of $41 billion more on the border, which is just insane. We took that out and attached McCall to it. So in essence, it is the Senate bill with a more moderate and intelligent border security bill. We've got 200 Democrats that have signed on. We only have 200, including 3 Republicans that signed on. We put out a discharge petition. None of them.
If I could just interrupt, you need 217, right?
On a discharge petition to get it out.
I get. Okay.
So we would need right now. If we could get 20 Republicans, we could get this thing out. The reality is they won't sign a discharge petition, but I talk to them every day. I'm trying to convince them because there's a lot of these guys who are scared. They live in districts that have a lot of Hispanics. They live in agricultural districts that need this. Bill, this is such a problem. When I first got elected, I went and met with my farmers, and we sat there and, great, good old boys. I have this huge section of my district, which is agricultural land, the most productive agricultural land in Florida. We produce tropical fruit, row crop. It's beautiful. And so we're sitting there, and the big belt buckles, and they got the cowboy boots, tractor hats, and we're talking about it. And I said, we got to help you with this labor problem because they were complaining about it. And I said, we got to get all these people documented. And they all started laughing. And I said, what are you guys laughing at? He said, Congressman, they all got documentation. None of it's real, but they all got documentation.
Yeah.
So we're all participating in this phony, fraudulent system, whether it's the nanny that takes care of your kid, whether it's the lady who shows up to take care of your mother once a week and clean her apartment, whether it's the person who works to put food in your refrigerator, fresh fruit and vegetable, whether it's the guy who's the roofer, whether the guy who's working on a construction project. They're all part of our society.
The guy who washes your car, the guy who's washing the dishes in the restaurant you're eating in and bussing the tables. Right. I mean, on and on.
They're part of our country. We've got to figure a way. And what we're abnegating.
I'm from California. I've been dealing with this.
Exactly.
The very issues.
Exactly. And we need them, right? So for a guy my age, and I'm a Democrat, so I'm going to retire on Social Security, right? To be able to retire in the next 20 years, I not only need to figure a way forward for this 11 million, we need another 7 million in the next 15 to 20 years just to keep the payments into the Social Security system, into the Medicare system, just to have enough humans in America to keep our economy growing. So the idea that we're doing the wrong thing by making them get in the back of the line, learning English, paying their back taxes, and waiting 11 years is an absurdity. That's not amnesty. That's putting them in their place, but making sure they have their place in America. Because if you're not vested in the American outcome, you're a problem. And in this, what's going on the border is just one more symptom of a broken immigration system. Let me tell you about what's happening in the border. I went last week.
I just want to interrupt you just a second there to ask you the question. Is there any doubt in your mind that were John Boehner to defy the Tea Party and to just allow a vote on your bill, that it would pass?
Yes, we would pass because there are enough Republicans that have said, I'm for this. I'm for this because they know what a problem it is.
Right. Yeah.
Whether it's Denham from California, who's married to a Mexican-American woman whose brother-in-law was once deported. And so he literally has lived this nightmare. And again, he's from a farming community that needs these workers. So the reality is that if they gave it to a vote, we'd have them. But I was down in the border 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, pick up there. Yeah.
And it was embarrassing. First of all, we don't have a border security problem. The reason these kids are coming is because you find a loophole, you find a lawyer, right? You find a loophole in the immigration system. In this case, we've tightened the border so much that putting 250-pound Joe Garcia in northern Texas from Mexico is hard work. There are so many ways that you can be tripped up. So many places can be caught. You saw this guy, Jose Vargas, which got caught at the airport. Detained yesterday. But if you look at, in my case, it'd be difficult to get me there. But the kids, what they're doing is they're saying, all right, we can't use the Mexican kids, but if we can get these kids just to the border. Now, let's talk about these kids. 55% of these kids have one or both parents in the United States, all right? Now, we if we would have passed comprehensive immigration reform, these kids already would be with their parents. The full, I think it's 20% more, have a close relative in the United States. So, of course, they're coming to be with family. They're running from societies that are, in essence, collapsing. And so we need a progressive plan there. What we need there is a Plan Colombia, the same way we did when they were killing a Supreme Court judge in Colombia a month. We said, look, we're going to have a narco state. You remember when Carlos Later, the famous drug trafficker, went on national TV and said, I will pay Colombia's national debt. We said, that's enough. Yeah. We got together with the Colombian people, and Carlos Later and a bunch of them ended up dead or in jail. And now Colombia is one of our most stable partners. It is a country that produces and buys a huge amount of American product. In fact, it's one of our biggest trading partners in the region. Mm-hmm. And so we're looking at these countries. Now, the reason they're not killing Supreme Court justices in Honduras or El Salvador, they wouldn't dare go against one of these guys, because these are very small and toppling basically small little governments. And so what we have to do is organize them a little bit better, invest a little bit more, strengthen the border down there, but at the same time have an immigration system that works. If you think about it, why is it we're not getting as many Nicaraguans? Well, Nicaraguans had NACARA, which was comprehensive immigration reform over a decade ago. They fixed that. But a lot of these kids, by the way, their parents are here legally, right? Yeah. They're TPS Guatemalans, or they're TPS Hondurans, or they're TPS Salvadorans, which means they have temporary status in the United States. They came because of a hurricane or an earthquake. Every single president since that time has given them this temporary status. So they've got houses, they live here, they've got jobs, they're legal.
When they tell us that that these kids are kept in a detention center until they can get a hearing in front of a judge, what are those conditions like? You must have visited some of those. I mean, how old are these kids?
Bill, it was one of the most disappointing things I've ever seen, right? Now they're not keeping them in detention centers as long. I want to thank the White House, because I went there with Zoe Lofgren from California, who is probably the greatest subject matter expert on immigration in the House of Representatives. And Zoe and I visited those jails with Sheila Jackson Lee, and it was astonishing, right? They had nowhere to transfer them to, and so there were a lot of these kids in these cells. These are holding cells, so there's no beds. There's a cement bench along the wall, and these were rooms designed for 10 men, and there were 30 kids.
Oh, God.
And the median age, I would say, was about 10 to 12 years old. But I mean, they're sitting there 10 days. Remember, no windows, so the light bulb is on all day long. They were bathing every other day. I mean, when they opened them, it was shocking, right? What I saw was shocking,
Good
and
Lord.
I gave that message both to the Secretary of Health as well as to Jay Johnson, both Zoe and myself and Sheila. But they fixed that now. We're moving the kids out of there, and I understand. And by the way, the Border Guard are doing a great job. It's not like these kids are tough to catch. The reason they're coming across the river is because these gangs charge more to cross on the checkpoints, right? So the kids will pay less for crossing the river. They know they're going to get caught. They want to get caught. These fences, these kids would never be able to scale these fences. They're at their age. So you sit there in a room where they monitor, and the buzzer goes off, and the kids basically stand there until someone shows up, and they hug the person because that's what they're looking for. And so, these are children. There was one scene where we were in a jail, and I was with Zoe, and this little girl, 7 years old. She's looking up. They're taking her out because she's got an earache. And Zoe Lofgren's looking, eyes the size of saucers, right? It's half her face, her eyes. And Zoe just reached over and just hugged her, and the girl just started sobbing because that's what they wanted. They wanted to be held. They've been alone. They've been with people they don't know. That little girl, because I speak Spanish, I said to the girl, who brought you here? He said, my sister. And so I looked up to find some adult. And then,
Yeah.
of course, she was 7, her sister was 12.
Oh.
And where are you coming to? I'm coming to see my father. My father is in Atlanta, right? And, she's been separated from him for 5 years. He left when she was 2 years old. So it gives you a dimension of what this problem is. By the way, that father, because he left 5 years ago, is in the United States, would qualify under comprehensive immigration reform. He would have brought his daughter here. Instead of sending $500 a month to keep his girl alive there, he'd be spending money in the United States, being productive. That girl would be going to school. She'd be part of our workforce long term and good for our country. And the idea that somehow we're scared of children, that the United States is somehow now against immigration, when it is the very core fiber. When you go to Europe, when you go to Paris, and you're there, and you go to the suburbs of Beaumont, and you see that that for all intents and purposes, a Muslim village. Why? Because the Parisians have never let them into to French society, so they sort of kept their traditions, and they've not integrated. Well, one of the great things about America is after a generation, maybe you've got a day of the year you get drunk and think about the homeland, but the rest of the time you're American. And that's what we do better than any other country in the history of the world. We take from everywhere, right?
Yeah.
And by the way, there are always xenophobic responses. Our founding father, Ben Franklin, didn't like Germans, because they were filling up Philadelphia. And I can understand. He was getting old, cantankerous, and he didn't like Germans.
But everybody's got to have been through that. The Irish and the Polish and everybody.
And the Jews and the Italians. And, I'm Cuban. I come from a city where almost 70% of the people in my city were born somewhere else, whether they came from Cuba or Central America, South, or they're refugees from New York trying to escape the cold. But we're all there, and it makes one of the most exciting, dynamic cities in the world. You're from L.A. One of the things that keeps L.A. new is California new is that new immigration. It's what makes our country great. It's one of the most interesting, fascinating things about this town, where you get in a cab with a guy from Eritrea. You have dinner at a Korean restaurant. They're all from these places, and it's a wonderful thing, and it's what America's always done well.
He's been there firsthand, seen the conditions at the border. He's meeting with President Obama and Vice President Biden a little bit later today to talk about it, and he's here to tell us about it and take your calls at 866-55-PRESS. Congressman Joe Garcia from Florida. We'll be right back.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Tune into Free Speech TV for Democracy Now!, a national, independent, award-winning news program bringing you people and perspectives rarely seen on corporate media.
I'm the retired bishop with the Episcopal Church as the bishop for all chaplains in federal service. I read that there was a group of people that represented a sense of injustice that I had. We'd lost Zuccotti. I mean, there was a kind of a hope that maybe Trinity Church would be gracious and give refuge. We picked this day where we would gather and demonstrate that Trinity was closing its ears to what was happening. We marched around the block, and I realized that, my goodness, they're carrying a ladder. And I thought, well, this is the moment. You could feel a spiritual presence. You could feel a certain something. And then the cops came in. It got brutal.
I'm with you right here. Robin, I'm here.
The church needed, in this moment in history, to stand alongside of these protesters. The truth of Christ is found in the pews, is found in the institutional church, but it is also found in the streets. It's found in the honesty and the integrity, the insistence of people that you find in Occupy Wall Street.
Tune in to Gay USA with hosts Ann Northrup and Andy Hum for in-depth coverage of lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender news. Watch Gay USA every week, only on Free Speech TV.
Seen on Free Speech TV and online on TawkrTV. This is the Bill Press Show.
10 minutes before the top of the hour. In the next hour, Chris Kofinis, Democratic strategist, here in studio with us. And then we'll be joined by, we call him the Mayor for Life, Marion Barry, who has a new book out about his experiences here in Washington, D.C. It's called Mayor for Life. Right now we're visiting with Congressman Joe Garcia from Florida, a leader in the immigration battle, to get an author of the House bill on comprehensive immigration reform, who's in studio with us. Congressman, while we're waiting for the House to tackle comprehensive immigration reform, the president has asked Congress for $37.5 billion to $3.7 billion, to deal with this humanitarian crisis at the border. And by the way, it is a humanitarian crisis.
It is.
Right?
It is. These are refugees. We've seen them before. By the way, we pressure countries to take refugees. We're now pressuring Jordan to take refugees and Turkey to take refugees from Syria. It's just a fact. It's what we've done. It's the humanitarian thing to do. The UN has categorized them as refugees. And clearly what you see on that border is children, many of which, I'm not saying all, but many of which are fleeing either to be with their family or, more importantly, fleeing violence.
So what are the chances the president's going to get the supplemental?
Look, I think he's going to get it, but I also think he should shoot big, and I think if they're not going to give it to him, then he's got to act. But he knows that. We've spoken. He and I have spoken on this issue. But I think Republicans would be wise to give him the supplemental and not to give reason for a further crisis, because sooner or later, the train is going to run off the tracks here. We have a system. Bill, I want you to understand, of the 11 million people that are here, almost 5 million have some immigrant claim. For example, you meet, in my case, I'm single, I meet a nice girl, and she's from Argentina. And I said, let's get married. And she says, well, I've overstayed a visa. Well, that means that she would have to travel back to Argentina because of the 10-year bar and wait 10 years to come in. Even though the marriage immigrant is almost instant, if she travels back because of the rules we've put in place, she'd have to wait 10 years to come see me, right? There's a bar for her to come see me. And like that, there are millions of people in queue, right? They have a direct family member in the United States. It's a U.S. citizen, but they can't come. They have someone who has status in the United States, but they can't come because they've overstayed a visa. And that's part of the problem, right? That we create, every time we put some little piece of Band-Aid on this broken system, we haven't touched this system for over 30 years, it just makes it more complicated. When we close the border for going out, people used to cross and come in and do agriculture work, then they could just walk back and nobody would care. Well, we closed the border going back. So then we said, well, every time I got to cross both ways, if I just get my family across once, I'm good. I was with a friend the other day, a Republican friend, and he said, well, Joe, if somebody picked the lock of your house, you want them punished. And I said, well, it depends. If somebody picked the lock of my house because I needed someone to take my kid to school, needed someone to take my mom to the doctor, needed fresh fruit and vegetable in my refrigerator, needed my lawn mowed and my roof fixed, I'd owe him money, right? And the reality is that's how we've got to see.
Thanks for coming into my house. Yeah, right.
I'm sorry I didn't leave you the key under the doormat so you could take care. And the reality, they're part of this.
On that point, Congressman, it's a very complex problem. There's no doubt. I mean, the answer is comprehensive immigration reform. You are there with all your energy and with all your experience, and I'm so glad you're fighting a good fight for us. And thanks for coming in this morning.
It's a pleasure, Bill. Thank you for taking this on.
Tell the president, go strong, go big.
Go big. That's exactly right. We're big people.
All right, Congressman Joe Garcia, we'll be right back.
This is the Bill Press Show.
All right. With 2 hours almost done, we move into hour number 3. A very, very exciting hour this morning. You're not going to want to miss it. So if we lose you on Free Speech TV, or when we do, move over to TawkrTV. You know how to get there. YouTube.com/Tawker, TawkrTV. In the next hour, Chris Kofinis, Democratic strategist, is going to be here to take a look at Elizabeth Warren, Chris Christie, Hillary Clinton. And then we'll be joined by the mayor for life. Yes, the longtime mayor of Washington, D.C., still on the city council, the one and only Marion Barry, here in studio with us. Hour number 3 on TawkrTV.
Tune into Free Speech TV for Democracy Now!, a national, independent, award-winning news program bringing you people and perspectives rarely seen on corporate media.
I probably would make a time machine. I would make medicine for the sick. I'd probably invent something new. If I could have an extra 5 years to live. You said 5, right? 5 years. It's a long time.
I would try to fix everything I did bad.
I would bring my uncle back because I miss him very much. I would get more hamsters. I would probably want to go looking for dark matter. I think I'd go looking for aliens. If I could live an extra 5 years. I was thinking about making like a helicopter, like a wooden helicopter, but I don't have any wood. I want to go check out the moon sometime. I'd probably teach my sister not to hate tuna. I would try and invent a machine that lets you run at light speed. If I had 5 more extra years to live, I would be the boss of all the chipmunks. Eu cantaria na frente de 1 milhão de pessoas. I don't really know. I think I'd do anything. Why are you asking me that?
This is the Bill Press Show.
On the president's schedule today, we just talked a little bit about it with Congressman Joe Garcia. Gets a daily briefing at 10:30 this morning. Then at 2:15, he'll be meeting with his climate task force, making some big announcements about some new executive action on climate change, as we discussed with the good congressman. At just about 4 o'clock this afternoon, he'll be meeting with members of the Congressional Hispanic Caucus. And then, after that meeting, going across to the White House, a meeting in the Executive Office Building, going to the White House for a meeting with all of the House Democrats at 5 o'clock today.
This is the Bill Press Show.
You wouldn't let money just blow out of your house. So when your AC or heater is on, make sure the doors, windows, and fireplace flue are shut tight. If you're headed out, turn down the AC or lower the heat by 10 degrees. And always keep your water heater set at 120. A little bit of common sense goes a long way. Get more great tips at energysaver.gov.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting him in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello? That's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
All right. I know this isn't any fun to talk about, but we should. Okay. So who's going to do what?
I'll pack the dead batteries.
Great.
I'll only put what I don't need into a duffel bag.
Perfect. That's totally unhelpful.
No problem.
Meanwhile, I will try to comfort everyone by speaking in a calm voice.
And I'll try to get the generator going without any gas.
Oh, let's not forget the cell phones, which probably won't work.
Right.
And who is going to handle supplies?
I can forget to do a list for us.
Thanks, pal.
Well, I think we couldn't be any less prepared. I'm proud of you guys.
Talk to your kids about who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Visit ready.gov/kids for tips and information.
I'm the retired bishop with the Episcopal Church as the bishop for all chaplains in federal service. I read that there was a group of people that represented a sense of injustice that I had. We'd lost Zuccotti. I mean, there was a kind of a hope that maybe Trinity Church would be gracious and give refuge. We picked this day where we would gather and demonstrate that Trinity was closing its ears to what was happening. We marched around the block, and I realized that, my goodness, they're carrying a ladder. And I thought, well, this is the moment. You could feel a spiritual presence. You could feel a certain something. And then the cops came in. It got brutal.
Yeah, I'm with you right here. Robin, I'm here.
The church needed, in this moment in history, to stand alongside of these protesters. Truth of Christ is found in the pews, is found in the institutional church, but it is also found in the streets. It's found in the honesty and the integrity, the insistence of people that you find in Occupy Wall Street.
At Earth Justice, we defend the environment in the courtroom. Join our fight. When you take a seat, you take a stand. Earth Justice, because the Earth needs a good lawyer.
Tune in to Gay USA with hosts Ann Northrup and Andy Hum for in-depth coverage of lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender news. Watch Gay USA every week, only on Free Speech TV.
Broadcasting around the nation, on your radio, on your TV, and online. This is The Bill Press Show.
Wednesday morning, July 16. It is the Bill Press Show. Good morning, everybody. Great to see you this morning. And great to be with you all across this great land of ours, coast to coast. We're coming out to you from our nation's capital on your local progressive talk radio station and worldwide on our video stream at TawkrTV, youtube.com/TawkrTV. Hello. Thanks for joining us. You want to know what's going on anywhere on the planet? We'll tell you, and we'll give you a chance to tell us what it all means to you at 866-55-PRESS. That is our toll-free number. And on this Wednesday morning, we have, for the first time in 2 weeks, over 2 weeks, the whole team here. Over 2 weeks, the whole team back together today. From various parts of the planet. Peter Ogburn, Elisa Murphy, Alicia Cruz, and Cyprian Bolding. What a team. Thank you all for coming back. Now I'm taking off.
See everyone. Yeah, exactly.
What the hell if everybody else could take a vacation?
Yeah.
Right. So can I.
Let's not forget that some of that time that we weren't all together was you away. Conveniently, we're going to mention that.
Yeah, I plead guilty on that. Yes, indeed. All right. So we told you last week that Bob Beckel, the House liberal on Fox News, got himself in a little hot water. Not for the first time on Fox News, but this time in particular because in talking about the problem of the Chinese government hacking our computers, he used inadvertently, let's say, used a racist phrase talking about the problem is that we're bringing all these Chinamen here and educating them. Quickly corrected enough these Chinese people. But Conan O'Brien last night said it was even worse than that for Bob Beckel.
A Fox News host is under fire for using an offensive term towards Chinese people. Yeah. It didn't help that in his defense he said, "Me play joke."
Bob Beckel better watch himself around New York, right?
Yeah.
Certain restaurants he better not go in.
Seriously.
Yeah, right. So we've got a lot coming up, and the big political news is Chris Christie is going back on the campaign trail. Yes, he figures he's got his scandals behind him, and he is going off to scheduled trips, as reported in the front page of the New York Times this morning, to Iowa and to New Hampshire. He says the current crop of Republican candidates can't cut it. He's the only one who has any retail campaign skills, and his scandals are behind him. We'll see how that plays out. And on the Democratic side, the big news is that the big star now and the person most in demand to go out and help Democratic candidates around the country is not Barack Obama, not Hillary Clinton. It's Elizabeth Warren. What does that all mean? We'll get into that. But first, if we are ready for Peter full court, there we go. No, wrong button.
It's all right.
Is the full press.
It's a crazy morning.
It is a crazy morning.
It's a crazy morning. So
a lot going on. A little distraction.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's jump right into some other stories making news. We've talked a lot about the drought in California, and we now know just how bad it is. The National Weather Service put out the numbers on the 2012 to 2014 rainy season. Now, these numbers are collected through July 1st through June 30th, so they're brand new. And it turns out that it was the worst, driest rainy season since they started keeping records back in 1877. That's how bad the drought
Whoa, I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that. No.
I know. Well, hopefully it can only get better, right? Because it's as worst as it's ever been. So that's the
No, it could get worse.
And sure, I suppose it could get worse. They are cracking down on people using more water, watering their lawns when they're not supposed to, and washing cars and things like that. So they're trying to stem some of the water waste in California.
No, I'm due out for a little trip in August, and I'm prepared, not to take a shower for the whole week that I'm there. I may not be allowed to.
That's right. Yeah, someone's going to peek in the bathroom, make sure you're, not taking more than one shower.
No, just turn the water off.
24-year-old Claire Leeson lives in Essex, England, and she is a fan of Kim Kardashian.
Uh-huh.
She's such a big fan that she spent $30,000 on breast implants, hair extensions, spray tans, makeup, and clothing to look exactly like her. We're going to tweet out a picture of the photo. She actually comes pretty close, a lot closer than some of these maniacs do when they try and look like famous people. So, congratulations, I guess, to Claire Leeson.
So she's such a fan. She really wants to look exactly like
just like Kim Kardashian.
What we call the Elvis lookalikes and the Michael Jackson lookalikes, right?
Yeah, sure. There you go. Bill, Delaware City.
Yes.
You're familiar with Delaware City. I don't know if you are familiar with Clinton Street in Delaware City. Are you familiar with Clinton Street in Delaware City?
Are you kidding? What are you talking about?
Well, there's a street in Delaware City called Clinton Street.
What do you mean? I grew up on Clinton Street.
Oh, well, I'm glad. I didn't know that.
301 Clinton. That was our family home.
Well, there's a new restaurant.
Clinton.
There's a new restaurant on Clinton that a very, shall we say, witty restaurateur named Lewinsky's on Clinton in Delaware City. It's a thing. It exists. He just opened up this week, and it's called Lewinsky's on Clinton.
First of all, two things about that. Number one is that street was not named after Bill Clinton.
Right.
It was named after Governor DeWitt Clinton from New York.
Okay.
Years and years ago. Hundreds of years ago, right? Secondly, the man who opened Lewinsky's on Clinton. Can't believe you're talking about my hometown of 1,200 people in Delaware and my street, Clinton Street. But the man who owns, I know about this from my sister. I didn't know the name of it.
Okay.
He had a different name in mind, which was equally revolting. I forget now exactly what it was. But he is the owner of another restaurant at the foot of Clinton Street.
Okay.
Which is called Krabby Dick's. Okay. So if you don't want to eat at Lewinsky's on Clinton, you can eat at Krabby Dick's.
Okay, there
and there are your culinary choices.
Fine cuisine of Delaware City.
In Delaware City, Delaware.
I like it. You'll have to go next time you're home. Let us know how it is.
Pass.
Yeah.
I go to Delaware City to see my sister. I do not go to Delaware City to eat food.
Okay,
to go out for dinner.
That's fair.
Exactly.
That's fair.
Yeah, but I got to tell you, maybe Elizabeth Warren will be there. She's everywhere these days. Yeah, indeed. So it's funny. While former First Lady, former Senator, former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton is out there promoting herself and selling her books, which she is, without saying for sure whether or not she's going to run in 2016. Although last night on The Daily Show with Jon Stewart, Hillary kind of dropped a hint that maybe by the kind of office she's looking for, we know what she's going to do in 2016. Jon Stewart asking her about what kind of office, are you thinking about in the future?
Would you like that office? Would you like to have corners, or would you like it not to have corners? I don't know.
I think that the world is so complicated. The fewer corners that you can have.
Yeah, we want an office with no corners at all, right? Okay, there's only one office like that. We know what it is. The Oval Office is what she's thinking about. But again, while Hillary is up to that, the candidate, if you want the candidate's helper, but the politician, Democratic politician, in most demand these days around the country is not President Obama, not Vice President Biden, not Leader Harry Reid. It is not even former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. It is Elizabeth Warren. She has been in Kentucky most recently for Allison Grimes, the Senate candidate down there. She's been in West Virginia for Democratic Senate candidate Natalie Tennant. And in both states, mind you, red states, conservative states. She has gone in there with her, Elizabeth Warren, with her populist message, her message of economic populism and doing something about income inequality, fighting for middle-class families. She's gone in there and she's gotten rave reviews. She's gotten great publicity. She's raised a lot of money for these candidates, and she's just the new rock star of the Democratic Party, even though these candidates may not agree with her and she doesn't agree with them on all issues, as she said over the weekend when she was in West Virginia with Natalie Tennant.
Natalie Tennant and I do not agree on every issue, but on the core issue, on the issue that is about our values, on the issue that define us as human beings, Natalie and I agree. Our job is to fight for the families of America. That is our job.
To fight for the families of America. That is our job. That's a message Elizabeth Warren is carrying out there. And that raises a big question about if she's getting such a great reception in these red states, might she not be the candidate for the Democratic Party in 2016? And should she challenge Hillary Clinton in the Democratic primaries? You've heard me say this before. I think it is very important that somebody challenge Hillary Clinton in the primaries. And that's not because I don't like Hillary Clinton. I love Hillary Clinton. I supported Hillary Clinton over Barack Obama in 2008. I think she'd make a great president of the United States. But, you know, she's no liberal. And I think we need somebody who's going to raise these liberal progressive issues in the primaries. I love the fact that Bernie Sanders has said that he might run, and I would love to see Elizabeth Warren run as well. The more, the better. In fact, the timing, one of the reasons I want to get your comments on this morning, and I'd love to know what you think about Elizabeth Warren as a potential candidate for 2016. Is she the right person for the time? Or do you think maybe she's just too far left? 866-55-PRESS, 866-55-77-377. Again, the timing of talking about this today is that yesterday there was a new group launched. We've seen the political action committees for Hillary Clinton already formed over a year ago. Yesterday, some supporters of Elizabeth Warren launched a new movement called Ready for Warren. Ready, and that's a website, readyforwarren.com, and with a petition online, if you check it out, to try to persuade Elizabeth Warren to run in the primaries. Should she run? I say absolutely. I think it would be important for the country, important for the party, important for her. We all benefit, I think, by having Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders as well out there raising these economic populist issues in the Democratic primary. That's what it's all about. Elizabeth Warren, should she run? Hell yes. 866-55-PRESS is my comment. She's great. Look, she's articulate. She's got tons of energy. She's very popular. She's a great speaker. She's a great candidate. And her message is resonating around the country. I think people are ready for an Elizabeth Warren. It's good. The Netroots is happening this week as well. So this is a time for populism to come back. It's come back in the person of Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren. Go, Elizabeth, go. Do you think she should run? 866-55-PRESS.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Every day, kids witness bullying.
Oh, look! Your crush is looking at you. Poor you.
They want to help, but don't know how.
See, no one here's gonna help you, because no one
Teach your kids how to be more than a bystander. Visit stopbullying.gov. If you drive buzzed, it could cost you around $10,000. You'll face major legal fees, major fines, and steep insurance penalties. You could lose everything. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
When some people struggle with their mortgage payments, they become frozen, petrified. Not knowing what to do, they do nothing. But the people who take action are far more likely to get the most positive outcome. Making home affordable is a free government program. Call now to talk one-on-one with a housing expert about the options that are right for you. Real help, real answers, right now.
Here at the GED Pep Talk Center, we have pep talkers standing by to get you motivated for your GED diploma. Text the name Terry to 69222 for a sympathetic pep talk.
You show people what you really are.
Or for a gentle pep talk, text the name Deborah.
You know you're going to make people very proud of you.
And if that's not enough, text the name Danny for an extreme pep talk.
Prove everyone wrong. Show them you're the boss.
Get your GED pep talk and find free GED classes. Text the name of the person you want a pep talk from to 69222.
Did you see the world differently? Did you celebrate the victory?
So today, I state clearly and with conviction America's commitment to seek the peace and security of a world without nuclear weapons.
Did you stand up against our greatest threat? Change the world.
This is the Bill Press Show.
All right, 24 minutes after the hour, it is indeed the Let's Persuade Elizabeth Warren to Run for President campaign, starting right here on the Bill Press Show this morning. Talked about it a little earlier and back on it right now. I think it's important to have a strong populist voice out there in the Democratic primary. And we got two possibilities. Bernie Sanders, we've talked about Bernie before. He's certainly thinking about it. And now Elizabeth Warren, she says she's not. And yet with the reception she's getting in state after state, why not? By the way, former mayor of Washington, D.C. Well, actually, we call him Mayor for Life, Marion Barry, joining us in the next half hour here on the Bill Press Show. Right now, Elizabeth, run. Nicholas calling from Madison, Wisconsin. Hey, Nicholas.
Hey, Bill. Hey, I think you're spot on with Elizabeth Warren. I mean, I think she's got the demeanor. She's just a matter of fact. She's not full of bluster, and she's so intelligent. You know, I think she'd make an ideal candidate.
And, you know, she's not going to shrink away from the big issues. Yeah.
Exactly. She just states the facts, and, you know, and she's, like I said, she's not full of bluster. She's just so a matter of fact, and she's got that poise where she can get her message across without being, you know, blustery.
Right.
And, she's really good.
Yeah, and I think Americans are ready for somebody to take on Wall Street, right? And just say enough is enough with this 1% getting all the privileges, all the tax breaks, all all the money, right?
Yeah, I believe her soul is intact, but I don't think she'll sell her soul for big corp. You know?
You're absolutely right. All right, Nicholas, out there on 92.1, The Mic in Madison, Wisconsin. Great to hear from you. In West Palm Beach, Florida, Giovanni. Good morning, sir.
It's ma'am, but it's okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought, is your name is your name Giovanni?
It sure is, but
It is.
I am a woman.
Oh, all right, great. I just assumed, and I'm sorry about that. Hi, Giovanni. Nice
No
to
problem.
talk to you. Yeah.
So I want to just say that I think what we really need is a good, hard progressive to run.
Yes.
I don't think we'll ever question who Elizabeth Warren is fighting for. She'll fight for me. I'm a student with, a huge loan. I'm just an average American making an average salary that's struggling in America. So I really want her or Bernie to run. That would make me so happy.
Yeah. But you know what? You're absolutely right. And I think that's what people feel and know about Elizabeth Warren. There's no doubt about who she'd be fighting for, right?
Absolutely.
And the thing is, Giovanni, it's not that she's going to say, well, all these corporate guys are evil, or we can't make any money, or you can't. I mean, she doesn't want to nationalize the banks. All she's just saying is, let's level the playing field, so not all the benefits of this economic recovery are going to the top 1%. That people like,
exactly.
We raise the minimum wage, extend unemployment benefit, pay a living wage, and just make sure that middle class families are able to get by.
Millions of us need her. Run, Elizabeth.
Run, Elizabeth, run. Okay, so check out that website, readyforwarren.com. On the other, and again, I stress, taking nothing away from Hillary Clinton. She's next president of the United States. There won't be a happier camper than I would be. But in the meantime, in this Democratic primary, the issues that we Democrats, liberals, populists believe in have to come out in the debates, have to be part of the campaign. We need somebody who's going to deliver them. I don't think anybody can deliver them better than Elizabeth Warren. And I know, so I just hope she runs. I know a lot of people are saying, look, she hasn't been there long enough. She doesn't have enough experience. She doesn't have executive experience, on and on and on. Those are the same things that they told Barack Obama in 2006 and 2007. He didn't listen to them then. He's now president of the United States. Elizabeth Warren, this could be your shot. Take it. Run, Elizabeth, run.
Bill Press Show.
Don't look at me. Your hair's a bit frizzy today. Aww, you should pick that up. Oh, you're such a dork. Loser. Here, let me help you with that. Oops.
Every day, kids witness bullying.
Oh, look. Your crush is looking at you. Or you.
They want to help, but don't know how.
See, no one here's gonna help you, because no one
Teach
likes
your
you.
kids how to be more than a bystander. Visit stopbullying.gov. If you drive buzzed, it could cost you around $10,000. You'll face major legal fees, major fines, and steep insurance penalties. You could lose everything. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving.
When some people struggle with their mortgage payments, they become frozen, petrified. Not knowing what to do, they do nothing. But the people who take action are far more likely to get the most positive outcome. Making home affordable is a free government program. Call now to talk one-on-one with a housing expert about the options that are right for you. Real help, real answers, right now.
Tune into Free Speech TV for Democracy Now!, a national, independent, award-winning news program bringing you people and perspectives rarely seen on corporate media.
I probably would make a time machine.
I would make medicine for the sick.
I'd probably invent something new.
我会赢到5个总冠军戒指。
If I could have an extra 5 years to live.
You said 5, right?
5 years. It's a long time.
I would try to fix everything I did bad.
I would bring my uncle back because I miss him very much.
I would get more hamsters.
I would probably want to go looking for dark matter.
I think I'd go looking for aliens.
If I could live an extra 5 years. I was thinking about making like a helicopter, like a wooden helicopter, but I don't have any wood.
I want to go check out the moon sometime.
I'd probably teach my sister not to hate tuna.
I would try and invent a machine that lets you run at light speed. If I had 5 more extra years to live,
I would be the boss of all the chipmunks.
Eu cantaria na frente de 1 milhão de pessoas. I don't really know. I think I'd do anything.
why are you asking me that?
Connect with The Bill Press Show on Twitter. Follow us at BP Show and tweet using the hashtag WatchingBP. This is The Bill Press Show.
Here we are at 33 minutes now after the hour. We're coming to you live coast to coast all across this great country of ours from our studio on Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C. And if you're talking Washington, D.C., you're talking Mayor Marion Barry. He has had an incredible career. Active in the civil rights movement, moved here to Washington, D.C., community organizer in Washington, then elected mayor of Washington, D.C., served 2 terms, got a little bit
Four term.
Well, I'm coming back to it.
Okay.
Got a little trouble.
Okay.
Went away and then came back and served another 2 terms as mayor, 4 terms total as mayor of Washington, D.C., and still a member at large on the Washington City Council. And he is here in the studio with us. He has a new book out called Mayor for Life, which is what we all call him, Mayor for Life. It's good to see you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Bill. I'm glad to be on your show.
It's an honor to have you in the studio, Mr. Mayor. You know, looking back at your career, what's the thing you're most proud of?
Well, I wrote this book because people talk about what I am. I'm the full-time mayor. I'm this, I'm that, actor, civil rights. But nobody has written who I am.
Yeah.
The person, the character, the values, the feelings, the thoughts, the vision, etc. And so I wrote this book to try to give people a larger glimpse and a larger look at Marion Barry, the person. I'm 78 years of age, born in 1936 in the Delta of Mississippi, segregated society, poor, very poor. My mother and father were sharecroppers. That means the white man, sells you the seeds at a price higher than he paid for them for cotton, and he buys the cotton back from you at a price lower than he's going to get for it. So it's a very exploitive system. My mother and father used to work chopping cotton from 10 hours a day, averaging about $3 a day if they were just workers. And my mother, I have 2 sisters, one year and 9 months younger than me, Lily. And I had another sister, Elizabeth. And my mother got tired of it. She said, I'm tired of having babies. I'm tired of working my behind off. And it was about $2,000 or $3,000 total money for the whole year.
For the whole year.
For the whole year, $3,000 or $4,000 at the most. We had a garden. We had pigs. We had we didn't have any cows, but we know somebody who did. And so she wanted to leave. That was during the period of the Great Migration. In Mississippi, Tennessee, and the South, people were migrating to the North. Mississippi and Tennessee, primarily Chicago, supposed to be freedom land. And my grandmother had moved to Chicago about 4 or 5 years before my mother decided she wanted to leave. And my grandmother sent my mother some bus fare. My father found it, took it, because he didn't want to go. And she had to suffer around some white folks' kitchen, doing this, doing that. So she finally got enough money to take us across the river to Arkansas, West Alabama. And then from there she worked a little bit in people's kitchens and houses. And we got to Memphis. We had a lot of relatives in Memphis.
Yeah.
A lot of relatives in Memphis. And so I had a hard life. I lived in a house without any running water, without any electricity, with kerosene lamps, and extreme poverty. And what I'm most proud of in general, how God has blessed me with a tenacity, a courage, a vision, etc., to overcome. It's an overcoming book. Overcome poverty. It's hard. Most people who are born in poverty die in poverty. That's true here in Washington, D.C. That's true all over America. There are certainly a few of us who escape from that, but it's incredible, tough to do that. I mean, if you look at all of the people who were born in that period with me, and I don't know them, but just statistically, very few of them got out of poverty.
Yeah.
Very few of them went to college.
You were active, and then so you're in Memphis, and you were active in the early civil rights movement of. Do you want to check with the mayor there with IFB too? In the early civil rights movement, there are pictures in here of you with Martin Luther King and Ralph Abernathy and all the great civil rights leaders at the time. We're now celebrating the 50th anniversary of the Civil Rights Act. So have we achieved the dream, Mr. Mayor? Have we achieved equality? Is that all behind us?
No, never. Unfortunately, racism and some vestiges of segregation are still with us. We made a tremendous amount of progress. But one thing that I do know, Bill, is that anything that black people have gotten, we had to take it, had to fight for it.
Mm-hmm.
In 1848, Frederick Douglass, who's the sage of Anacostia, said, "Power concedes nothing without a demand. It never has, it never will." Look at the Voting Rights Act. Look what it took. It took people going to jail. It took Fannie Hamer and other people, Herbert Lee being killed in Pike County, trying to register to vote. It took all that effort to finally get the President Johnson, to sign the Voting Rights Act. Then look at the Civil Rights Act. It took a lot of us going to jail, sitting on lunch counters, getting beat up, the Freedom Riders, all that kind of stuff. It came at a price, and that is why I want to emphasize my life has been one of fighting for
absolutely,
right,
yep,
fighting for justice, fighting for human rights, fighting for gay and lesbian rights, fighting for all kinds of rights. But more importantly, I've been working as hard as I could to try to figure out how we close the economic gap between the haves and the have-not. Here we are in Washington. I've been here since '65. We're the richest city, the richest country in America. But we have become, in most urban cities, the haves and the have-nots. And so that's where we are. We had to. There's a lot of in-betweens that I worked on about rebuilding Washington, et cetera.
But it must be a disappointment to you who fought so hard for the Voting Rights Act to see this Supreme Court, this Roberts Court last year, basically gut the Voting Rights Act and say, no, states can go back to doing whatever the hell they want to do. And many of them have, making it harder, particularly for students, for minorities, to get out and vote.
It's been creeping up on us. Mm-hmm. It didn't happen all of a sudden. It's been creeping up. You know, we have a divided court with Clarence Thomas on the majority conservative side, 5-4. Most major decisions have come 5-4. It's not like the Supreme Court that Thurgood Marshall was on, and others that were the liberal court in terms of progressiveness and candidate rights, etc. So, see, nothing in this country disappoints me. I mean, I'm sorry, surprises me, but it disappoints me.
Yeah.
We fought so hard. Also, this year, there's the 50th anniversary of the Summer Project in Mississippi, where we had 1,000 mostly white people coming down, open Mississippi up. And 3 civil rights workers, Goodman, Cheney, and Goodman, Schwerner, Goodman, and Cheney, got assassinated down there. So
Philadelphia, Mississippi.
So we have, I think the fight now, it's in my book too, the fight now is economics. It's what I call civil rights, SILVER, civil rights. Closing the income gap. I'll give you an example. Here in Washington, D.C., I represent an area of Washington, across the river, Ward 8. The average income is $26,000 for the family, the average income. Whereas in Ward 3, which is 98% white, and I admire those persons who work very hard, the income is $200,000 a year. That's incredible.
Wow.
$200,000.
Average.
That's not a gap. That's a canyon. That
You ain't
is
lying,
huge.
it's a canyon.
Yeah.
I mean, so I'm working now. I'm trying to get the council and the mayor and everybody to work on closing this economic gap because it affects the other gaps. It affects the achievement gap because it's shown that poor kids who come to school less prepared, etc. So that's where we are.
Yeah. He's telling his story for the first time in his book called Mayor for Life, the incredible story of Marion Barry Jr.
Let me tell you how that came about.
I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to take a quick break, Mr. Mayor, if we can, and you'll tell us on the other side.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right?
Thank you,
No. Thank you for being here. Mayor, you know, he's in charge, but this is the only time I'm able to interrupt the mayor.
This is your show.
We'll be back on the Marion Barry show here in just a couple of minutes.
This is the Bill Press Show.
This is my computer.
This is your computer. Let's go on the internet.
Let's go. Click it.
Yes.
Okay.
I cursor in between the R and the E. Racing dot. I want you to just push the period.
She's gonna love me all over again.
That's it. Jamaica, here you go.
Here we go.
Good job.
Thank you. Thank you. And I did it by myself. Feel smarter.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. You know, but it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, you know, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello? That's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
All right. I know this isn't any fun to talk about, but we should. Okay. So who's going to do what?
I'll pack the dead batteries.
Great.
I'll only put what I don't need into a duffel bag.
Perfect. That's totally unhelpful.
No problem.
Meanwhile, I will try to comfort everyone by speaking in a calm voice.
And I'll try to get the generator going without any gas.
Oh, let's not forget the cell phones, which probably won't work.
Right.
And who is going to handle supplies?
I can forget to do a list for us.
Thanks, pal.
Well, I think we couldn't be any less prepared. I'm proud of you guys.
Talk to your kids about who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Visit ready.gov/kids for tips and information.
Hey, thanks for stopping by. You know, I followed your character since the first episode. I'm a big fan. Big fan.
Thank you.
And listen, your storyline, it makes for incredible TV drama. Thing is, your drug use is very adult content. Too adult for the kids. So I'm gonna have to block you.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Well, have a good one.
You're a nice lady.
On your radio, on TV, and online. This is The Bill Press Show.
It's 13 minutes before the top of the hour now here on a Wednesday morning, The Bill Press Show, and with our guest in studio, the Mayor for Life of Washington, D.C., Marion Barry Jr. His new book is called Mayor for Life. Mr. Mayor, I have to tell you, when I came here to do in 1996,
okay,
CNN to do Crossfire, and my very first, and we live a block and a half from here on 8th Street Southeast.
Okay,
so we live in the same part of Washington. I'm not in your ward. And right here at the corner of 9th and Pennsylvania, that first weekend, I saw a man wearing a T-shirt, had your picture on it, and the theme on the T-shirt said, this was right after your little troubles, let's say, yeah. Said, I've seen the video, the bitch set him up. Did the bitch set you up?
Well, I don't want to spend a lot of time on that, Bill, because that's just a sliver of my life.
True.
The FBI spent millions of dollars to try to entrap me. I shouldn't have gone up to that hotel room, should have gone to the hotel, but that's besides the point. The point is that 9 jurors out of 12 voted to acquit me on all charges. And I've never been convicted of anything at the Vista. Mm-hmm. Now, there was another charge at another hotel that we did, yeah. And we had a racist judge who gave me 6 months. But that only strengthened my life in terms of my endurance. To have the federal government throw everything they could after me, and the jurors didn't believe them. 9 of them didn't. And so I'm moving on. I moved on. It's been 24 years ago.
You did move on. Yeah.
I've done an incredible amount of time. Things like Washington, D.C. You came here in 96. You should have come here in 65. Washington, D.C. was a sleepy, southern-like town. No high-rise buildings. Not one new building on Pennsylvania Avenue. Not anything on K Street. Not anything on G, F, and all those other streets. The West End was desolate. Georgetown was just still kind of get its sea legs on Wisconsin Avenue. And if you look at Washington now, everything which is happening came out of my blueprint. All this development's going on started then because of my attitude about business. I wanted Washington to be the metropolis that it is now, where businesses are welcome. When the first thing I did when I came in 79 was tell the business community we're open for business. Not any legal business, but open for business.
Well, boy, it sure changed sense.
So, we cut through a lot of red
yeah.
tape. We got buildings built. We got investments made in Washington. We doubled the number of hotel rooms because we created a climate for these 18 billion people who come here. And Washington is Marion Barry, Washington.
You got it, yeah. And it's a great city today. Yeah. One of the great cities in the world. Peter,
you talk about the sleepy town that it used to be. There's a documentary called The 9 Lives of Marion Barry, which is a great documentary, I think, that really shows what you did to Washington, D.C. when you started to push to put it, make it into a major American city, not a sleepy southern town. So I have to mention, I thought that was a very good documentary. But my question for you is, where's Washington, D.C. going next?
Well, something was happening to Washington was very troublesome. We are being quickly gentrified. Long-term residents who lived on Capitol. I used to live on Capitol Hill. I lived at 6th and A. I lived at 7th and Maryland Avenue. And I was living at 1236 East Street when I got elected mayor, Northeast. And when I first came to Washington, there still was some degree of housing segregation. And so white people were buying houses from the Capitol to 8th Street. That was the boundaries. And Maryland Avenue on the north and the freeway on the south. But look at it now. Down as far as the jail, 19th Street, Bay Street, as far over as K Street, and et cetera. And I'm for new people moving in. But I'm opposed to long-term residents being forced out. Now, I know there's some economics here because there are some seniors who bought their houses 30, 25 years ago at, say, $30,000, $40,000. Now they're being offered $400,000.
Right.
You know,
or more.
More. I would take it, but gentrification is rabid. Shaw, Capitol Hill is gone, which means we're eliminating affordable housing. And so what I'm putting a lot of emphasis on is home ownership for black people, because if you own your home, you're more than likely going to be stable. The neighborhood's going to be stable.
Right.
Look after things. But if you rent, like anything else, you be even put out.
I got to ask you the burning question about Washington, D.C. We're almost out of time, but should we change the name of the football team in Washington, D.C.?
Absolutely, we should. I've told Dan Snyder.
Have you told Dan Snyder that?
I've told everybody that. Dan Snyder, misreads the tea leaves. He went out and tried to buy support from the Native Americans. They told him they take his money, but they still voted against him. They took his money. I think we're going to rename the team the Washington Warriors, which means you don't have to change the logo or anything else. Washington Warriors, because that's strength. Warriors. I was watching something the other day on what happened at Wounded Knee, which was an awful massacre. And I've been a strong supporter of the AIM movement and other Native American fights, because so much injustice was done to the Native Americans. The long march to Florida, all that kind of thing. But no, I think I'm going to start a movement to name it that. I'm going to do all I can to meet with Dan Snyder, talk to him about it, get him to see the light. President Obama supports that effort. Everybody.
So you can see that the Mayor for Life still has a lot of life and a lot of fight left in him. He tells this incredible story again.
And buy the book, Bill, on Amazon.com. Amazon.com.
Not only that, on our website.
Your website?
We'll put up a link for buying the book. Okay?
We appreciate that.
Mr. Mayor, you've had a great life.
The book is taken off. I mean, it really is.
Great contribution here.
Omar did a good job. Helping me write it, and it's just taken off.
All right.
Thanks to everybody.
Thanks for all your leadership and all you've done for the city of Washington, D.C.
Thank you, Bill.
All right. And
Peter,
we'll be
thank
right
you.
back.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Mayor, great to see you. Thank you.
Thank you.
This is the Bill Press Show.
It is possible to read the history of this country as one long struggle to extend the liberties established in our Constitution to everyone in America. In other words, who, according to our laws and culture, gets to be considered a person? The law creates legal personhood, and movements create law and change culture. So, how have the courts passed laws to shape our culture? That history goes way back before Citizens United. 1819, Dartmouth College versus Woodward, Supreme Court case, turned a corporate charter from a government-granted charter to a contract. This ruling gave corporations standing within the Constitution. 1886, Santa Clara County versus Southern Pacific Railroad. Though the court did not rule on corporate personhood, the decision was subsequently cited as a precedent to hold that a private corporation is entitled to the same 14th Amendment rights of due process and equal protection as human beings. This makes it impossible for us to make laws that treat local businesses any differently than giant multinational corporations, even if their business practices are deemed to be harmful to workers, the environment and communities, or if they have a history of violating the law. Hale versus Henkel, 1906. The court granted corporations the Fourth Amendment search and seizure protection. Dodge versus Ford Motor Company, 1919. The Michigan Supreme Court says the business corporation is organized and carried on primarily for the profit of the stockholders. Stockholder primacy is established. The purpose of the corporation, according to the court, is no longer to serve the public good, as it had been. It is now to maximize profit for shareholders above all else. Pennsylvania Coal Company versus Mahon, 1922. Corporations get the Fifth Amendment takings clause, meaning if you pass a regulation that impacts a corporation's ability to make a profit, that is deemed a taking, and they can sue for the right to future profits lost. This creates a chilling effect, and local and state governments become much more hesitant to pass laws in the public interest for fear that corporations can claim loss of potential profits that cities and states will be on the hook to pay. Buckley versus Vallejo, 1976. The Supreme Court rules that spending money to influence elections is protected under the First Amendment, in effect saying that money is speech. Citizens United versus Federal Election Commission, 2010.
Today, the Supreme Court of Chief Justice John Roberts declared that because of the alchemy of its 19th century predecessors in deciding that corporations had all the rights of people, any restrictions on how these corporate beings spend their money on political advertising are unconstitutional.
The court's ruling threatens to undermine the integrity of elected institutions across the nation. It's a rejection of the common sense of the American people.
All right, that's going to wrap it up for this Wednesday morning. Thanks again to the mayor for coming in, and thanks to all of you for being with us on a Wednesday. Have a great day, and then just get ready. Come back here again tomorrow morning.
Buy a book.
Buy the book.
Buy a book.
Buy the book.
Amazon.com and your website.
All right. We'll be right back. See you tomorrow, folks. Have a good one.
The Bill Press Show.